What's going on? 558. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Thursday night football tonight with the Steelers and the Patriots. Kickoff at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. Patriots already ruled out a bevy of offensive players. Running back Ramondre Stevenson, wide receiver Demario Douglas, wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, and offensive lineman Riley Reef. Najee Harris has also been dealing with a knee issue that's kept him off the practice field this week. He is listed as questionable. Pro Bowl vote leaders were announced yesterday as the former Blue Raider Reed Blankenship is leading the vote for NFC safeties, while the only Titans player leading their category is punter Ryan Stonehouse. The Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is second overall in all of fan voting. To the NFC North, where the Vikings are sticking with Josh Dobbs after the bye. Heading into this week's matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders, Dobbs struggled against the Bears before the bye, but gets his chance to keep his job, go out and get a much-needed win. The Vikings also get Justin Jefferson back this week, playing in his first game since October 8th. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
A very happy Thursday to you in the Music City and around the world. We welcome you in to a brand new edition of RKW. We are brewed up by 8th and Roast on another freezing morning in the Music City. And we've got a full crew ready to go with lots to discuss over the next 4 hours. That's Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass. My name is Will Bowling. Yep, forgot my own name. No, I didn't. Coach Matt joins us at 6:20 this morning. Q's and K's, Thursday 3. Joshua Perry, lots more still to come this week. What's going on?
Not much, Will Gulp.
I swear, sometimes
Brian
like
did not wake up yet.
I wonder what would come out of my. I'm just happy things for the most part have not come out that are inappropriate.
It's
That
happening
was
to
not.
all of us. I'm telling
I
you.
know.
My first sports update every morning is always the worst, easily.
Yeah. I do worry about my words sometimes. I ain't going to front to y'all. I'll be like, okay, make sure you understand this is always a family program, okay?
Even if you don't mean to have a word come out, sometimes there has been things in the past where my words have gotten mixed up.
But I'm here to tell you, it's a lot of words that come out of our mouth, and I've done that before too. It always happens on my name, or like when I'm just about to start talking, my words just get jumbled up. I hate that, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
We're up at 6 a.m. We're here.
We are up at 6 a.m. and we're here.
Going.
I
All
think
right.
we're crushing it.
I never ask for anything.
Okay.
When do I ever ask for anything, Ramon?
Bert, often, okay?
When's the last thing I
Now,
asked for?
Buck would
Last
say
thing
something
you asked
different.
for?
What did I ask for?
Food at the remote.
That's true. But I showed up and got it myself. Okay, so I need you to pull some strings for me, Ramon.
Talk to me.
I saw something yesterday.
Yeah?
Never thought I would go to the terrible city of Pittsburgh, but now I think I might have to change that. Yesterday, they announced that you can have a special experience at the Pittsburgh Zoo and Aquarium where you can be the parade grand marshal in a penguin parade.
What?
I can do that.
Oh, nice.
So
I can
you
make
get to
a call.
lead these penguins throughout the zoo, and you've got like a little conductor hat, and you're telling them where to go, and they follow you. I'm only going to ask to do this once because I'm stealing a penguin.
No.
That's the only reason I
That's
want
the
to do
mean-
this. So it says, help our feathered friends on an exciting journey throughout the zoo to meet new friends. This exclusive experience gets you close up and personal with some of the best dressed birds. As the parade marshal, you'll get to help our aquarist, whoever, I don't know what their symbol is. I'm a Leo. I don't know what they are. Guide our penguins through a parade route of eager spectators. Learn more about their unique birdinalities, which I think is like personalities, birdinalities.
Yeah.
They're trying really too hard in this write-up. And go behind the scenes to see where they live. I want to go behind the scenes to see where they live and take them. So I can probably only haul out one or two, but if you could pull some strings for me and get me to be the parade grand marshal of the Penguin Parade, I would really appreciate that.
Good buddy of mine is on the board of directors there.
Stop it!
I
You're
try.
lying.
Absolutely not, Bert. But the real question is, are you trying to make your house out of an igloo or what? Or like they can live in different climates?
I think I can make my garage a little colder for them.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sure somebody knows an ice truck somewhere. We can at least keep them cool to the temperatures they need, Bert. All right, we can do that.
Where did you find this? Is my question.
I just
Burt's.
get
know, right?
like random things like this. But so you guys know, penguins aren't just found like in Antarctica or in the cold places. There's penguins in South America. There's penguins and like the lower tip of South America. So like rock hopping penguins, they don't need the cold. They just need to be a little brisk. I think I could facilitate the briskness.
We could,
For sure.
and probably send it to Carolina with your mom after, the summer hit. That way it can be closer to water and maybe stay even cooler. Because you don't want to be using like neighborhood pools to, make a habitat for the penguins.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't going to put my above ground pool in and let the penguins live in there. That wasn't my plan.
That'd
I'm
be
glad you
classy.
facilitated this change. And just let me know what I got to do. What I got to sign something? I'll lie on paper. I'll lie in person. Whatever I got to do.
You lie on the oath?
I'll plead the fifth.
Well, he's a damn lawyer back there. He should know that.
Bert, I got a buddy of mine on the board of directors at the zoo. I got you. We can at least make you the marshal. Whether they're going to allow you to steal it or not, I don't know about that.
Hey, I'm from the round the way.
I'm
I'm leaving with something.
Lonzo in the Infinite Bank chat says,
Jeez.
sounds like a Walmart version of the Peabody Ducks in the country of Memphis.
I'll take one of them too.
Have y'all stayed at the Peabody before?
No, I heard
No, I
about
haven't
it though.
stayed there, but I've walked right through there.
Back attack.
What's
Coach
up,
Mack is
Dog?
here. Walking in a little early this morning, grab some caffeine.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
So I had a funny story from last night as it pertains to food and dinner that I have a late submission for You're Not That Guy that happened yesterday. So essentially, when you have a game that starts around 7:30 that ends around 9:30, you can eat lunch or like an early dinner beforehand, yet you're still going to be hungry working that late when you get home.
Right.
So I think to myself, all right, I'm getting out of the garage. Beaumont Lipscomb went down to the wire. Incredible game, really fun. I need to order delivery. Need to get some food, which is something I'm trying to cut down on doing. But in these situations where places close in like 20 minutes, like it's really the only option you have. And I'm going to name names. I'm going to name the company. I ordered Chipotle. Sorry, AJ Brown. I ordered
AJ.
Chipotle. There was nothing wrong with the quality of the food, but on my drive home, I get a call, and it is the delivery app that I use calling me. Answered it. Said, what's going on? Said, hey, I'm here at Chipotle. So I ordered a cheese quesadilla, which I'm not really a big Chipotle guy,
Yeah.
but it was the only thing available. I just ordered the pizza place that I always do a couple nights before. It's like, I'll just do Chipotle. Their quesadilla is my favorite thing there, even though it's not super common. And the guy calls me and goes, hey, they ran out of cheese. And I said,
What?
okay, what do you mean? Like, they're like, no, like they don't have any cheese. Like you ordered it right before they closed. I was like, that's not my problem. Like
Right.
if you're open, you should have everything that you have. Like cheese is it would be like calling a donut place an hour before they close. Like, oh, sorry, we're all out of donuts.
Yeah.
We don't have any. Well, all we have are other things. We have sandwiches. Like, what do you want me to?
Sure.
So I was like, okay. But the guy goes, but they can still make your quesadilla.
With what?
And I said, how are they going to do that? And he said, your guess is as good as mine, brother. And I said, okay, that's fine. He goes, so do you want it? I was like, sure. Honestly, at this point, just as an experiment of what in the world they were going to bring me. So last night I had a really good tortilla with chicken in it for dinner before I,
hope
went
you
to
didn't
bed.
pay the full price.
Oh, I did. And then I also got chips and guac, and they didn't put the chips in there.
Oh.
So I had some guac that just sat there and looked at me.
You had a
You
chicken
got to use those
tortilla.
fingers.
I had
man.
some. I had some old stale chips still in my
Yeah.
my pantry, or not pantry. Just I don't really have a pantry. I just have a cabinet. But it was good.
That's truly crazy right there.
It was good. So that was my post game meal last night after a
Healthy.
narrow, dramatic win for Belmont over Lipscomb.
You want to talk about a group of people who's probably more ticked off than you will about food issues on stuff that they don't have? anywhere in America, small town USA, okay? Anywhere in America, small town USA, Sundays after church, if they go to the local chicken spot chain or whatever the case may be, because most church people go after church to get some food, and it's primarily chicken at chicken spots. You ever seen a livid, ticked off, mad, a churchgoer, okay? Run out of chicken at a restaurant after church, okay? Like, make them people wait. Like, I've seen people be holier than thou and lose their entire minds over the lack of chicken after church, okay? I've never seen people act up way worse than having to wait till they unthaw, batter, and fry some chicken. Small town USA, anytime. Well, you think that's bad? Your chicken tortilla with guac on the side? Nah. Go to small town USA and watch them run out of chicken.
So you're talking about your hometown?
I'm just saying. It could be Springfield.
Sure.
It could be Mount Juliet.
Because there's usually one spot.
And there we go. See, that's the problem right there. It's one spot. It's one chicken spot that really makes people ticked off like that, and it's running out, man. After church, after they just got a blessing, Kayla.
This is something that happened to you recently? Like, why did this is random?
It's happened recently, often. Okay. I've seen this, Will. I'm just letting you know.
So anywhere you want to put on blast this morning?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I will not do that. I've learned my lesson with that type of stuff.
Moan's a man of the people. He's just sharing the people's
I'm
stuff.
just saying, Sundays after church, you run out of chicken, man, they will lose their mind. Just to let you know.
So you were a
Everybody
baked
hurts.
chicken after church kind of family?
Would be, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Chicken or fish is usually go-to after church.
Okay.
Loaves and fishes.
Loaves and...
Perfect.
What?
Said loaves and fishes.
Oh, loaves and fish. See? You get it. There you go.
615-737-1045, the number. Coming up this morning, we'll get into the audio of what Mike Vrabel had to say about Monty Rice, or really what he didn't have to say. Didn't say much yesterday, talking to reporters at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. In hour two, sound from the practice field as the Titans get back on the practice field. Longer week. So don't have injury designations until today, considering today is kind of like a Wednesday as you get ready for a Monday night game. But going to take a look at a couple of players who are essentially auditioning for roles, not only for the rest of this year, but in 2024 as well. Two on offense and one on defense who spoke yesterday to the media. We'll dive into that coming up this morning. Also have Thursday 3. A good week for us last week collectively. Ramon was 1-2, but the rest of us were outstanding.
By the
we're
way,
2-1 or better.
I heard the promo edited version yesterday, too.
Of what?
No, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
What promo?
Kayla was hyping me up. Yeah, Ramon, you gonna do it. Verse said, what was the intro? No, he's not.
I said, narrator, he will not.
He will not.
Just like when you would hear the Bob the Builder theme song growing up. Y'all won't relate to this, but when I would hear the Bob the Builder theme song growing up, and it'd be like, can he fix it? And you felt like such a rebel going, no, he can't. You felt like such a rebel.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Dang, I haven't heard it. I'm excited to hear this one.
Here, I'll pull it up for
Okay.
you guys.
Was I trying to be the hype man and then they
Yes,
you
were.
did your
Dang
thing,
it.
okay?
Thursday morning, we get you ready for primetime Titans football as Titans Radio's head coach joins
just
us
hit me
bright and
during
early.
it.
Coach Mack at 6:20.
We also get a little bit of Thursday threes coming in as I try to play catch up to the rest of the group. I'm eventually going to win this thing, y'all.
You might, Ramon.
Narrator, he will not.
One thing we do know for sure. That is
Got him.
so funny.
How you gonna one-up me, Bird?
Well, then I had at the end of it, couldn't be my picks not going 3-0 last week.
And then Will just like spiked on you too, man. Hey, it was a strong 1-2. It was a strong one.
It was.
Well, because you were on Bama. So
Right.
Yeah, man, y'all tag team me on that one. That was a bad look. I can see Bert struggling to get out of the ring right now, and Will just
RKO.
RKO.
RKO meets RK Dub. And then in hour 4 this morning, we'll take a look at an interesting story from The Athletic as the Panthers have what is called Hunger Games culture at Bank of America Stadium. Whatever that means. We'll dive into that. Joshua Perry of NBC Sports as well at 9:20 this morning. You can join us on the phone line, 615-737-1045. Next, it is Titans Radio's head coach. Coach Mack joins us on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Right now, y'all, Hiller, they're giving away cash for the holidays with select purchases. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year. They're donating $50 in toys, 2 toys for tots with every tankless water heater purchase, and giving away $250 Visa gift cards with each unit, too. Or you can get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of a new whole home generator. And these purchases have great financing options, too, all with low payments, so don't worry about it. They'll make it work for you. These deals are only available to the end of the year, so schedule today like I do at happyhiller.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone as we kick off your Thursday morning with a visit from Titans Radio's head coach. Coach Mack is brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, Middle Tennessee's most trusted local Ford dealership for 40 years. What's up, Coach Mack? How are you?
Good morning, guys. Kayla, let me just say this 8th and Roast cold brew,
You're loving it.
solid.
Okay, I'm getting you another pack.
It's solid. Well, that's
Getting
kind
you
of
6-pack.
That's kind of what I was aiming for.
You got it. I'm here to serve.
That's why you're here, Coach Mack.
I'm here to serve. I'm the mom on the show, all right? I got to hold down my duties.
It is really good.
Shut up, Ramon.
Let me. I
No
got a pair of
favors.
shoes I've been looking for.
Orange slices for the rest of us? What's going on?
Mama.
Goodness sakes. There is one thing that is for sure that Titans Radio in the Zone, it doesn't matter. This team could be 0-12 and we'd still be having fun on and off the air in this crew, Coach Mack.
Well, the team matters to all of us.
Of course.
Hat goes, but I'd had a dinner last night with a lot of people that, wanted to know, Coach Mack, we hear you all during the game and you and Mike Keith are so into it. I said, why wouldn't we be?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you be? And then, but again, it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we love doing. And so here we are.
So that's one thing I think people have always.
Hey, why didn't y'all? Let me stop.
No, go ahead. Do your thing.
Talk right over him.
I did. Why didn't y'all put Will and I on the text chain about wearing beanies this morning?
Yeah, honestly.
Right, Ramon? Because I was Ramon's hype man yesterday.
Y'all,
And nobody else
I
was.
walk in here and there's two beanies. Y'all looking good. I look over there at Will and his hair's always in. But y'all didn't call me.
No.
That's
Text
on
chain
us.
me. Okay, now go ahead, Ramon.
I need a
on
haircut
us.
badly,
Yeah.
too, right
You
now.
got that.
You had something more important to say
No,
than beanies.
it's nothing more important than making sure Mac Attack is took care of. That's what.
Go
that's
get
what,
him a beanie.
I'm going to Amazon right after this. I promise you. As soon as the interview's done.
Is there an 8th and Roast beanie that we can get Coach Mack? Just combine the two.
We can combine
should
the
ask
two. Is what
Q.
I'm telling you. Okay. You speak about the good time, Coach Mack. That's one thing people always have a hard understanding sometimes about pros, or especially in the NFL too. By the end of the week, you've reset and realized I'm still a human being.
You have to. You have to be able to get your guts back.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I'm feeling like everybody else that's listening to this radio that are Titans fans. After that ball game, I mean, you were up there in the booth. I just sat down. I was wrung out because that was an emotional roller coaster. And then when it ends up not in your face, I mean, I would and all the people that I've talked to, and I make it a point. Especially if, to go out to dinner afterwards, out in the public to talk to people, because I just think it's important, because I just, I enjoy doing this so much. But yeah, I was emotionally worn out. But then this business is so weekly and it's so cyclical. You got to get your guts back. I mean, that's just what you have to do. And so here we are.
How weird was that game Sunday?
You know what, Will? I've been involved in 700 of them, 38 years. Just do the multiplication. There were some things I've never seen in an NFL football game at one time together. I mean, a lot of those things, some of those things kind of would be spread out over a series of seasons, maybe, because there's a lot of things that happen in National Football League games that you go, wow, how did that happen? This game, and then especially, and I think you guys will agree with this. I know the people listening early this morning, some of these people were in the stands, because the fans for these home games have been outstanding. Yep. And they were into that game and doing everything they could too. And I know they felt the same way, because I always watch people when they come up underneath our booth when they're leaving, and they're just it wasn't a matter of just outright anger. It was just worn out, and just really going, wow, did we just see this? And so many ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and I don't know if y'all see that they do that thing in the booth where they get Mike Keith making a call. And this week, I was standing there when, on the 2-point interception, and I'm just standing there watching this. And, of course, I'm not going to ever talk over the Vaught. And so he was rolling on that thing, and I was just watching this thing going, and all I could say at the end of it was wow, because there was kind of some wow things in that game.
And it's crazy because this game that they just played in, was crazy. And then they're going back to Miami for the first time when Mike Vrabel started his career as a head coach here. You remember that game? The Lightning game, which was just cool. It was wild.
We lived there for the day.
Right? Yeah, we moved in.
We've got Mike had T-shirts made, longest broadcast in the National Football League history. So
Did he really?
We've got those, yeah, and I think we'll probably do a little something about it this weekend before we go. But that was as strange as it gets too, because I remember Jimmy Cephalo does their play-by-play, and then of course they came in when we stayed on the air for 7.5 hours.
Oh my gosh!
They went back to the studio after 30 minutes, and he knocked on the door and said, "What are you guys talking about?" Mike Keith is so uber organized, and and Ramon saw this when he got he gave me a binder, and I'm coming off. I'm a head coach, just former head coach coming in here.
Right.
When he gave me a binder, okay, we're glad you're here, Mac. We love it. This is here. Learn this.
Wow.
And one of them, a whole section is weather delays. And they had Rhett and these guys had so much, and now I'm a radio person, so it's evergreen. Stuff that they put back. I mean, it was amazing to watch the organization. And look, we had Amy Wells was doing sideline then, and there's lightning. You guys tell me how this. And I was trying to figure out how this computes. We're in a lightning delay. That they've cleared the stadium, and they've got Amy Wells down there with a headset on trying to find a signal to tell us what's going on out in the middle of the field. And I went, that's a lightning rod down there. I said, Amy, doesn't Amy need to get underneath the stadium too? And it was amazing. It really was.
So hopefully not that type of
We
game.
don't want that. We don't want that. We want to go down there, and that game was unusual too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure
was.
We lost we lost some real significant players in that game, but then the twists and turns of that game. So, welcome to the life of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is, Coach Mac. I have to ask you about a guy that's been welcomed into the NFL and been called somewhat of a guru. Everybody has those one or two guys in their building that sits in that dark room, smart as a whip, Coach Mac, and everybody know they're going to end up being something. Mike McDaniel seems to be one of those guys. I think Sean McVay was one of those guys. How do you spot those dudes inside the building?
You know
Coach?
what, and they really come from every background.
Yeah.
You don't have to, and then he was one of those Shanahan guys, one of those, they had that sit back there and bring the coffee but just grind film and listen and learn and ask and once you're invited as a young coach, which I was, into the inner sanctum of what goes on in the National Football League. I mean, you get if you're willing to put the time in and you're willing to learn and grind on it. I mean, I got a PhD in 3 years in the National Football League because I would sit with the offensive coaches. I would, all to learn protections, to learn. I mean, and if you're willing to do that, but the other thing is you have to have people willing to invite you in to do it. And so, and he got his shot as a head coach, just like I got mine. But you have to have somebody. I mean, there's somebody that we've all, I think, in our careers, even that we've all mentored, that you help along the way. I was helped along the way, for this career that I've had. I think all of us in here were, and I think he would say the same thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. It's just
and then went out and got a track team. So
Right, can't complain.
And the first leg or last leg, Will, what would Tyreek be?
I would say Tyreek Hill, as quick out of the blocks as he is, I would put him on the first leg.
First leg.
Okay.
The anchor leg that I was on an actual track team with as well, Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, that's right. Jeez.
So there you go. And so, I mean, you run across, and it was, and of course, Miami was searching for something for a long time. I mean, they've been, it's the same cyclical thing in the National Football League, but they've got it going down there, especially offensively. Now, defensively, Vic Fangio's down there running a defense that can give you all. I mean, I respect Vic. I've known Vic since Baltimore Stars days.
Baltimore
Wow.
Stars.
He was on Jim Moore's original staff with Vince Tobin with the Baltimore Stars in the USFL. They won it twice in a row. The Philadelphia Baltimore Stars. And again, another one of those guys that just is really good at what he does, but absorbed a lot from a lot of people that's around. So, yeah, they've got players, and they've got a really unique scheme on both sides of the ball.
So for these cornerbacks, for the Titans specifically, Coach Mack, you're not going to shut them down completely, and I'm talking about Tyreek Hill, but they have other weapons. How do you try to slow them down, if that's even a thing?
No, you're first of all, it's got to be a whole team thing, because the best way to slow them down is to keep them on the sideline.
Yeah.
And if you've got to be able to possess the football against these people. Now, in watching their tape, and I watch tape chronologically when we're getting ready to play a team and watch all of those. I mean, they've had nearly 60 explosive plays. Okay, throughout the course of this season, and the season still is not over yet. But it's not all just take off, run past people. This is a rhythm RPO system that gets the ball to guys really quick, and this quarterback is really, really releasing the ball quickly. And then not only are these fast guys, Will's talking about, the track team, some guys, are fast track-wise, but they don't translate to football because they can't make anybody miss. They can't run anything but a straight line. They've got guys that have got make 'em miss in them when they have the ball in their hands, and then they've got that instant acceleration. And if you ever get matched up one-on-one with him, and Tua now is nuanced enough to where he reads. Most everybody starts out in a two-shell against him and then try to drop somebody down late. But if they get on the same page and recognize post defense that you're in man-to-man, or even if you're in three-deep zone, which is basically man-to-man on the outside, and still you've got to match up, underneath. I just did the thing for Titans All Access where, Tyreek Hill is 3-by-1 and is lined up right next to the offensive tackle and is basically down on two knees looking at Tua to say, what are you reading, and see it, and he motions clear out to the outside and then bullet train.
Jeez.
Right down the field. So you ask me what you have to do. First of all, you got to keep it in front of you, and then you've got to spot tackle these people. And I've coached the secondary for a lot of years in my, in my coaching career. And if you're up against speed like that, sometimes, depending on what the call is, you need to be able to ability align and understand that this guy out here is going to eat stripes up coming out of a break faster than most people. So it's a huge challenge because everybody else has faced the same challenge.
Coach Mack, Will Levis was critical of his own play on Sunday against the Colts and said it was his worst performance yet in a Titans uniform. What did you see from him against Indy?
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. But I say this, Will. I appreciate that from a young quarterback. Willing to say, hey, we lost a gut wrencher of a game. I should have been better. And when you go back and look at it, and look, this is a major learning experience right now for all of those young rookie players that are playing, and especially at quarterback. I mean, there's so much going on, but I like Will Levis for two things. Number one, I like the fact that he holds himself accountable. Number two, he's working on his craft, and number three, he's a tough dude. He's a tough dude, and he's willing to stand up to. But it wasn't his worst game, and there were some things, some things that he knows that he should have thrown it to somewhere else. But this is a whole learning process, for him. I think a real good, if you just look across the league, here's a guy right now that's playing quarterback that is lighting the league up from the middle of the season on. That sat for 3 years up there at Green Bay. That was a first-round pick, and everybody said, well, why would they take this guy? It takes a while to soak as a quarterback in the National Football League, but you got to have the right mindset. I believe that Will Levis has the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
100%, Coach Mack. This defense is going to have to develop a little bit more of that mindset. Big Jeff is sidelined for a couple weeks. What do you kind of expect from the younger guys inside that fold? A guy like Jaleel Johnson, Pecco, even Tierre Tart extended play. It's got to be a high expectation moving forward.
Well, Ron Slay asked me that on their show yesterday, and he said, who's got to step up? And I said, really, Ron, as a professional, they should have been stepping up the whole time. You can't wait till somebody's hurt before you say, okay, now I'm going to bring my game up. So that you were a professional athlete, and you know what the expectations are. And it really has nothing to do with what's going on around you. It's what you do and how you can add to it. So, yes, I mean, and look, you're not going to replace Jeffrey Simmons' production because Jeffrey Simmons is an elite player in this league. He's an elite player at that position in this league. So, everybody, you have to look. Injuries are part of this game. You're going to lose some people as part of this game, but everybody else has got to be individually accountable to playing to their maximum every game. If you're not doing that, then there's an issue.
Another side that's going to be put on full display too. Fire coach or not, they had 2 block punts last week.
Can't.
If you're in Miami's group, Coach Mack, or if you're in that meeting room, special teams, how much are you sending the bees to the nest?
Well, look, there's nothing hidden in the National Football League. There's nothing hidden, and that I think for people to understand the critical mass that this profession is. I say it all the time, and I don't say it flippantly. When Mike Ditka told me, welcome to the league, but every day's an interview, and you remember that. Yeah. Just remember that. And it cost a good coach and his family their job. So just think about that. Think about how serious that is. Mm-hmm. You're all sitting in here with nice jobs. I've got a nice job. Yeah. So if you don't in this league, it is so evident when something like that happens that causes someone to lose their job. Well, over and above that, other teams are looking at exactly, okay, what'd they do? What happened? Now, can they fix it? They will test that so quick, so quick. And so you better be ready for anything. And because that film will not die for a long time. And so people say, "Oh, Mac, have you ever?" No, I've never seen back-to-back like that with 2 different types of blocks that were. And you look at the football game, you're talking about a huge swing in a 3-point overtime game. And those things should be givens in the National Football League that you can protect your punter.
Yeah.
And so you ask me, will Miami look at that? Not only Miami, everybody else now and until you prove that they can't get back to your punter again.
Coach Mack at Titans Radio with us every Thursday morning here on RKW, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack, thank you. We'll maybe get the memo next time on the way we're supposed to dress.
With
everybody else.
But you know what? You and I still, we came in here and did our job.
Yeah, we did.
There we go.
Okay.
Maximum effort. That's right.
Yep.
Kayla and Ramon.
Coachable.
I'll get those cold brews going.
Yeah.
You got it.
Hope the Beanie Club works out well. See
It
ya.
does. Helps the hair.
Coach Mack at Titans Radio with us here on a Thursday morning. Coming up, a preview of Thursday Night Football tonight that should come with a warning label coming up next.
Love it.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. And coming up in 15 minutes, we'll look at Mike Vrabel's very interesting answer about Monty Rice. Titans roster moves yesterday before we get to sound at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. 615-737-1045 is our number. You can watch Thursday Night Football tonight at your own risk. Steelers and Patriots. Ramon Foster, why should this game interest me?
Why should? Because you want to see defense.
Okay.
Or maybe Pittsburgh get hot offensively and decide to beat.
That was a good one, dude. That might be the best one he's done all morning, man. Get hot offensively.
Beat the
Ramon
Patriots
Foster.
down.
Maybe Pittsburgh get hot offensively.
Hey, man, the Ramon Foster podcast is going up. We're optimistic, okay? But what I'm saying is this. Maybe they'll get hot and get mad that the Patriots beat us all those years, and they'll do something nice. That's all I got for you. The Patriots, they lost last week 6-0. And here's the thing about them. They can't score, but they are damn good at stopping you from scoring, though. Like, even with Miami, they only allowed 31 points. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Only 31.
I know. It's me tongue-in-cheek, really. But you look at their scores. It's boring ball. Their defense is tier 1. Their defense is tier 1. It is. So looking at what Pittsburgh offense has been capable of, even last week losing to Arizona, I don't know if we're going to see more than 15 points tonight. I go under.
Like total?
The total is 30
points.
and a half.
I'd go under.
Everywhere.
Where?
30 and a half is very low. That's like as low as you're ever going to get in the NFL.
It's like an Iowa game.
Yeah, that's
what I expect.
I would go under.
Yeah.
I would do the under tonight, 100%.
Ugh.
Well, you can do that then.
I can't do that.
Because he can't bet on.
Yeah.
I was talking about it in our later segment.
Oh.
Hypothetically in the Thursday 3.
Oh, yeah, I can't. Oh, in the Thursday 3. I thought you were talking about in real life. I was about to say, no, I actually cannot bet on that game. But, yeah, it'll be fascinating watching Mitch Trubisky, see if he can resurrect his career. 7-year veteran.
Mitch, please.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. But it should be a defensive juggernaut tonight with a sprinkle of a lot of run game.
How quickly do they mention that Mitch Trubisky was drafted in front of Patrick Mahomes?
I would say
First quarter, second quarter?
half of the first quarter.
Yeah.
Half of the first quarter for sure. A journeyman. That's fascinating too. The expectation of like the journeyman veteran quarterback. What are you actually supposed to get out of him? Good enough to win a game?
Well, you're going to get more from him than you are from Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, or maybe even Malik Cunningham.
Is that who they're starting?
Rookie? No, they're not starting him, I don't think. But there's a chance he's going to be up and could be available.
2-10 team. Like right now, they're 32 out of 32 teams as far as points scored. They're 12.3 points a game.
Yeah, the Chargers covered a 6-point spread by beating them 6-0 over the weekend.
Can you imagine?
That's amazing.
Can you imagine?
12?
Yeah. Their last games, though, check them out, though. Other than the Dolphins, they've lost 17-20, 6-10 to the Colts, 7-10 to the New York Giants, and last week 6-0. You want to talk about a rock fight? Like, this is not what Bezos signed up for when he paid all these billions of dollars for this Thursday night game.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. New England has only allowed 725 yards and 26 points in the last 3 games combined. Defensively, Gerard Mayo and the Patriots defense has been great.
They have.
No offense.
None whatsoever.
So
it'll also be one of those games in which special teams will probably come to the forefront. Like that.
Sure.
That's what this game's going to be.
Defensive touchdown, maybe.
Yeah,
from
no,
Pittsburgh?
for real. Yeah, 100%, Kayla. Defensive touchdown because the Pittsburgh offense is so inconsistent. I say time and time again, I still don't see how the Steelers beat the Titans because that offense has just been as of late.
Renegade in primetime. That's all you need to know.
Well, and that's why I would bet Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
That's why I'm also in the Thursday 3. I'll spoiler alert, have
Absolutely.
Pittsburgh in there.
Yeah.
6-point spread. In the F&M Big Chat, you can watch the show, interact with us, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Push, please.
Where Tyler writes in on YouTube and says, how about the Lady Raiders picking up their first win over the Lady Vols last night? Mm-hmm. And adds, I see many Vols fans calling for coach change and saying it's the worst loss in program history, ignorant of Middle Tennessee basketball. First and foremost, Middle Tennessee women's basketball is outstanding.
Yep.
And deserves a lot of credit. that is probably the worst loss in program history.
I
I think we are about to see a coaching change in Knoxville. Kelly Harper, I really wish her all the best and wish that she was the person to bring Lady Vol basketball back to center stage, the national stage. She's had some great wins. They were the last team to beat LSU last year before LSU went and won the national championship and, of course, upset them in the SEC tournament. It's time for Danny White and Tennessee to go outside the Lady Vol family and bring in the best coach available, even if they didn't play for Pat Summitt. And as much as that pains me, Lady Vol basketball is essentially a program that needs to be treated like it's a top 3 program historically in that sport because it's a top 2 program in that sport. So, anyway, I think we're going to see a change there sooner rather than later. I never understood that hire. Never understood that hire. I think that program needs to treat itself like you are the Alabama football of women's basketball, because you are.
Well, especially now in the SEC, they're not messing around. I mean, they've got the best coaches in the country for women's basketball right here in the SEC. And if you can't be consistently matching them, you're going to be stuck there right in the middle, or you're not going to get to the level you want to get to. And you're right. I mean, Pat Summitt, everything that Lady Vols basketball stands for, it needs to be one of the best consistently in the country at this point.
I have been hesitant for a while on Will's take on Coach Harper.
Sure.
I'd been so hesitant. Will's right on this one. He called it probably about a year and a half ago. It's like, Kelly, I'm like, well, come on, she's Kelly Harper. And lo and behold, I watched a good bit of that game last night, actually.
It's rough.
It was bad ball.
It was rough.
Kayla.
And they've got some players
Bad
hurt.
ball.
But Rakia Jackson's not available right now, but you can't lose to Middle Tennessee regardless. And again, no disrespect to Middle Tennessee. They are a fantastic program. And what Coach Ensel's done there in Murfreesboro. Hat tip to them on a signature win. But that being said, the Lady Vols need to be treating themselves like everyone else does, which is one of the 2 most elite programs in the history of that sport.
With also transfer ladies, too. Like, that's the thing. One from Belmont, one from Pitt. Like, it's not like it's just a young team. No, this team got it. Tamari Keys on this, like, they got veteran leadership on the squad. That was bad ball last night.
So, anyway, congrats to Middle Tennessee in the win.
Yeah.
Big week for Middle Tennessee for sure.
No kidding.
Turned on the ESPN app, man, just to watch that game. I'm going to be honest. I left it. I was disappointed. I was.
Sure.
You could have turned on the Battle of the Boulevard. 72-71 win for Belmont over Lipscomb.
Down to the wire, baby.
Man.
Greenville, Tennessee's Jacoby Gillespie with an and one with 6 seconds left to win that one.
Pretty cool.
It was fun. 615-737-1045, the number. Coming up as we begin hour 2, Mike Vrabel comments on Monty Rice's exit from the Titans roster, plus a Titans roster move as they add a linebacker. We'll give you the details on that next.
What's going on? 701. Good morning, Nashville, from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Thursday night football tonight with the Steelers and the Patriots. Kickoff is at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. Patriots have already ruled out a bevy of offensive players, running back Ramondre Stevenson, wide receivers Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, and offensive lineman Riley Reef. Najee Harris has also been dealing with a knee injury that's kept him off the practice field this week. He is listed as questionable. Pro Bowl vote leaders were announced yesterday as former Blue Raider Reed Blankenship is leading votes for NFC safeties, while only the Titans player leading their category is Ryan Stonehouse. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is second overall in fan voting. And in the NFC North, the Vikings are sticking with quarterback Josh Dobbs heading into this week's matchup against the Raiders. Dobbs struggled against the Bears before the bye, but keeps his job with a chance to go out and get a much-needed win. The Vikings also get Justin Jefferson back this week, playing in his first game since October 8th. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in America's Music City as we welcome you in to a brand new hour of RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast with locations on 8th Avenue, Charlotte, the airport, and their brand new location over by Vanderbilt at the Broadview. 8th and Roast Coffee cultivates community by the cup. You can find your favorite retail bag as well at every local Kroger or Whole Foods. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. And you can watch live and see our beautiful faces for radio on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Joining the conversation there in the F&M Bank chat. Yesterday, Mike Vrabel talked to the media, gave an interesting answer about Monty Rice and why he is no longer a Tennessee Titan. And I'm not sure what I expected, but at this point, 4-8 football team, I don't know what else you really want Mike Vrabel to say. When asked about this.
Not a whole lot, man. Coach speak is what the expectation was, not giving up state secrets also as to the whys. I think everybody wants to know what actually triggered him to get released. Healthy individual watching, he's your original draft pick. It's not like he's a free agent from somebody else and still very young at a position of need here. Yeah, third rounder. So it's very fascinating, that the response really wasn't a response. It was exactly what you thought it was to be. It's to answer you to get to the next question. And you know what? I ain't mad about that. I understand Vrabel mindset into giving up too much information. At some point, a little bit more of the story will come out, either whether from Monty or whether, from teammates or somebody that's trying to get some insider secrets. But if you look at it, a player getting let go the way he did, probably a little situation. You just never know.
I look at it as if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't really say nothing at all. And I'm not saying that he didn't say anything nice about Monty. I think he said he'll have a chance to find a job somewhere else, which he obviously has, not in terms of starting roster, but I think it's one of those things that Mike Vrabel is now trying to figure out himself on a losing team where you're having injuries now. Again, he's trying to navigate the waters just like everybody else is, because he's not had that responsibility yet to coach a team that's in the hole. And this is a team that's in the hole. So I think some of the responses now, you just can't dig too deep into it. But it was a little bit of an awkward moment being there and kind of having to push through that answer.
Saints are 5-7. They add Monty Rice with a waiver claim yesterday. Congratulations, Monty. You're free from a 4-8 team to a 5-7 team.
Jeez.
Happy for you. This was Mike Vrabel yesterday when asked about Monty Rice.
I think it's just it's a process and just didn't work out. And I'm sure Monty will go on and have another opportunity, and we'll give other guys opportunities here.
I guess Otis getting one of those opportunities, is he done good things for you on the practice field?
Yeah, I mean, he did good things since he's been here, and you know, he'll be a guy that'll get some of those looks, and you know, signed, you know, JoJo Doman to see, you know, special teams potentially help us there, and you know, those are things that we'll work through as the week goes on to get the best 48, the right 48.
And Otis Reese, the guy Mike Vrabel's mentioning there, who played in 2 games earlier this year, enjoyed the team as an undrafted free agent back in May. Ole Miss grad, where he played 29 games, 27 starts over 3 years.
Did he make the initial 53 and then get moved to the practice squad?
I believe that is correct.
Or was I misremembering that?
No, I think you're right.
Forget exactly. This situation, though, is exactly how you have to treat it. Vrabel's just saying somebody else getting another opportunity.
Yes, he did make it.
He did make the original 53.
Yep.
But that's what this is. It sucks for money. It sucks for this team, especially kind of a little bit of a dirty laundry because nobody really understands what happens. But as you can tell, Vrabel's kind of detached himself and his tone a little bit when it comes to him really explaining what went on. It's just being a pro. Essentially, it was something. You kind of hear the answer in his explanation. You know, he wanted an opportunity somewhere else. Almost sound like he wanted to be out of the building. And I think that first initial tweet of thank God, you know, with the prayer hands and stuff like that, kind of insinuates that he wanted to be out of this building. He wants to not be a Tennessee Titan. And Kayla, you brought this up the other day. There's, you know, childhood pictures of Monty Rice growing up as a Titans fan.
Yep.
So reality kind of sets in. Everybody has those pro moments where you know reality kind of sets in and realize this is a business. Whether he felt like he wanted to play a little bit more. I thought the Tampa game he got some reps. Last week he got some reps also. But it's the same way I look at Colton Dowell being a special teamer, making plays there. Some guys do come in this league and don't want to play special teams, never have played special teams. They almost look like it's a bad place to be. But a lot of guys I know throughout my career, and heck, even me, earned their stripes on special teams. So if Vrabel was asking that of him and he felt like he wanted to be a defensive-only player, that ain't how the league works. Like he said, he's trying to get the best 48 for game day.
Yeah.
That's his main goal. And that's if, Money, you're not the starter, then you got to be a hell of a special teamer until your opportunity presents itself the same way. And I say it again, Colton Dowell's kind of presenting himself. At some point in time, if he continues to develop, Colton Dowell is probably going to get more special teams rep. Heck, NWI is a guy.
That's how he created his opportunities.
That's crushing it on special teams still as a starter offensively. So I get Money where he's coming from. I'm not going to act like I don't understand. Guys want to play the position they're drafted at. But in a league of very few positions and opportunities, getting on the field is sometimes better. And if the Saints provide that for him, good luck to him, man. I really hope it works out for him.
I also think it's a thing where Mike Vrabel at this point has to start weeding out. I don't want to call them bad apples because I don't know their solo situations, but people who don't want to be on the team. And there have been guys like that in that locker room where they're no longer here. And I think if you're going to continue to build the team moving forward, continue to build that culture, you want those guys here. And if they don't want to be here, it's not going to work. It's not going to help your team. So,
you know where this actually takes a bad turn, though, too, is I don't think I've ever seen it this blatant when it comes down to, you know, where this team is. And what I'm saying is losing doesn't help this either.
No, it doesn't.
It's hard. I won't even say it's this era, but people are attached to winners. People don't want to be in bad moments. Like the paycheck is always going to be fine and kind of makes you feel better about being a pro and being on the team. But if this was a team that had a winning record and in, you know, the playoff race, you wouldn't hear this stuff. Losing kind of exposes a lot of the snaky stuff that goes on, you know, where you got to keep your grass cut a little bit lower to where you understand who's with you and who's not. I get where Monty's coming from. I understand it. Everybody wants to be attached to a winner. The same way you see in a mass exodus right now from Texas A&M, correct? The same way you see TCU losing a ton of players.
I mean, heck, Vandy.
Even let's go to Ohio State for a second. They won a lot, but they lost 3 in a row to friggin' Michigan. people want to be attached to that. It's easier to cop out when you're losing. I guess what Vrabel's looking for, we'll grant you your release, Monty. If this was the case, go find greener pastures. Oh, never mind. Your claim goes to the team with the worst record, and so you go to the Saints.
What is a reasonable expectation for a third-round pick as a rule?
Potential starter.
How long does a third-round pick need in order to marinate to become a starter?
About 2-3 years. That's where you at. Again, if you can walk in and because the team is bad, you walk into a role, kind of define yourself a little bit more, cool, fine. Yeah, it works. Like the way Tajay is working, there we go.
That was my next point, is that Tajay Spears has started as a rookie, as a rotational player, as a third-round pick, with expectations of becoming a starter maybe within 1 year. Tajay Spears is probably ahead of schedule for most third-round picks, whereas typically you're going to see someone like him 2 years into their career. Is that fair?
Yeah. That's fair. You're expecting your 1, 2, and 3 to get you 4 years out of it. It's mostly how it works out.
That's the expectation now that this organization needs in drafting players. And you look at the downfall of this roster, the downfall of this team, and why they're 4-8. They didn't hit enough on guys in the draft. Through COVID, they whiffed more than they connected and got a single. It struck out quite a bit. And when you're relying on so many undrafteds, when you're relying on a lot of Jack Gibbons is to prop you up and cover up holes with duct tape, then the cracks start to show, and you lose a lot of one-score games. This team has a decent coaching staff. This team has some decent players, but ultimately, that's the difference between a one-score game going your way and not going your way. This team hasn't been blown out a lot. It's gotten embarrassed a couple of times, especially on the road. But this team has been close in some games. That is the difference. A third-round pick not hitting, not contributing. That is the difference. And it all started with Isaiah Wilson. Was the first one. That was a big crack. You need a big crack for Isaiah Wilson to get through.
It was a boulder.
Well, and I'm still going to put cornerback Caleb Farley in there because they have now struggled with anything with the cornerbacks being anything back there in terms of ones.
Well, let's hear from one of those corners coming up next in Q's and K's. 3 Titans who are auditioning for bigger roles in 2024. We'll hear from each of them and also dive into what specifically 3 guys need to do in order to win themselves roles in 2024 and beyond. 2 on offense and 1 on defense. That and more next.
At Genesis Diamonds, they are rolling back prices and finance rates so you can get headliner gifts for your people this Christmas, okay? Maybe it's that pair of diamond earrings or that all-new designer fashion bracelet or that dazzling 2-carat diamond ring. It's all more affordable because at Genesis, they've got special pricing across the board and 0-interest financing for 5 years. So you can get that $3,000 diamond pendant and pay just $50 a month or that $6,000 eternity band for just $100 a month. Everything's included in this amazing offer, too. All their GI certified natural diamonds and all lab-grown diamonds are included. Even their luxury pre-owned Rolex watches, okay? Imagine a $15,000 Rolex for just $250 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. Yes, even the sales tax is included into that price. So don't let the rising prices and high interest rates dampen your holiday spirit. At Genesis, they are lowering prices and taking advantage of interest rates down to 0, okay? Get that amazing gift they deserve and make your money go farther than ever. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs on approved credit.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here at 104.5 The Zone. You can take us wherever you go by downloading the 104.5 The Zone app in the App Store, the Google Play Store as well. Take The Zone with you outside of our listening area. We always apologize if you have to leave Middle Tennessee, but when you do, you can just take us with you. Make it feel like you're still in Nashville. Real quick, before we get to sound from the Titans locker room yesterday, was on the sidelines for Belmont Lipscomb last night in the 150th Battle of the Boulevard. 72-71, Belmont got the win over the Bisons. We're down by 2 points with about 30 seconds left, 20 seconds left, actually, even closer than that. And Jacoby Gillespie with an and one with 6 seconds left, and then a block shot right at the very end of the game. That crowd was unbelievable last night. Did a doubleheader of women's basketball, men's basketball. Belmont swept it, and now Belmont has won 18 of the last 21 against Lipscomb. That game was so much fun to watch.
I love the Middle Tennessee rivalries. Like, even if they don't play in the same conferences, I just love seeing Middle Tennessee basketball play against each other. Even when some of those teams would play Vanderbilt, which I know they don't want to schedule like Belmont now, but I loved seeing it because everyone wants to come from the city and a lot of people who grew up here to watch those battles. So cool to see it go down to the wire.
So the crowd understood the assignment last night, too.
It was a whiteout. You also had Lipscomb fans who were there because obviously they're 1.9 miles away where their school is on Belmont Boulevard. And it felt a little bit like a conference tournament game because every time one team would do something, the other side of the arena would get loud and then it would go back and forth. And Belmont led by as many as 18 in this game. And I did my sideline hit at the under 8 timeout with the stat that 9 of the last 12 battles of the Boulevard and now 10 of the last 13 have been 9 points, have been decided by 9 points or less.
Wow.
And I made the comment, it was an 11-point game at the time. I said, this game always ends up being close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second I said that, Lipscomb got it to like 6. And then it was white knuckle from there for everybody involved. It was really fun to watch. Got a lot of texts of people watching it. And I know Ron Slay, our guy, was watching it and tweeted it out. So
did he not go? I know he was thinking about going.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So,
he said on 3HL he might roll over there.
He thought about it.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, sure did.
But it was fun.
My only question is bison plural bisons?
Yeah, so this is the thing. They are very specific. It is actually, Lipscomb has it at the top of their game notes that it is bisons as
That
far
is
as
nuts.
they're concerned. Yeah.
I always assumed it was like fish or meese, you know?
It is. It is. So, there is apparently an older, there's definitely a publication that says that bisons is usable. But then North Dakota State is the bison, and that's with a Z. Even though it's spelled B-I-S-O-N, so.
Classic octopi situation.
Yeah, it's, who is it? Brian Reagan with the bit about, I saw a flock of moosin. Anyway.
Moosin? What about Musa Muhammad?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, then.
So anyway, that was college hoops last night. Fun night over at the Curb Event Center. And yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Titans players spoke with the media, getting ready for Monday Night Football. And there are 3 guys specifically we're going to hear from here in our Q's and K's. And we'll start with Jalen Duncan. Building chemistry with Peter Skronsky, facing Miami's front. One of 3 guys who are certainly auditioning for some kind of role on this team in 2024. When you're 4-8, that's what you're doing. When you have a chance to be eliminated from postseason play this upcoming weekend, if things fall not in your direction. We'll start with Jalen Duncan yesterday in the locker room.
The mood is just to keep pushing and just get ready for next week. You can't sit and dwell on the past. So, everybody just came working. We're getting prepared for this Monday. So,
you guys go and look at the tape from last week. What did you see in terms of how you did and what you can improve on?
Me personally, I'm a rookie. A lot of things that I got to continue to work on. Just better hands in the pass pro. Just getting off the ball. Just low pads, being able to move people and being physical with speed and violence.
Some great blocking though in the run game. How do you kind of build confidence off of something like that?
As an O-lineman, we love to run the ball. So when you're out there being able to move people, I guess the confidence builds itself. you know, being able to see the running back, you know, get a dirty run for like 5-6 yards, you know, that's a lot of excitement. It makes us feel good. So
How do you feel like the chemistry is building on that left side with you and Pete?
I think it's building pretty good. You know, we'll continue to work. We'll continue to get together and make sure we go over everything. You know, just throughout the season, just get better. So.
This Miami front, what do you see from them? What are the challenges?
You know, they're big, they're aggressive, they play fast. So the challenge, I mean, we just got to go out there and just compete. You know, just got to play harder than them, be more physical, be more aggressive, and let's go play ball.
What I appreciated about Jalen Duncan specifically is, and this is, you know, me yesterday, last week with the other media, like, y'all, the locker room is sparse. Okay. It's there is barely anybody in there. And by the time you get one guy, you go to turn around to go maybe get another guy. There's nobody there. So it was great to see Duncan when I went over there. He had such a positive attitude, and rightfully so. He's a rookie. He's trying to earn a job, but he has a great attitude. I feel like he is really trying to do everything he can to improve in a really kind of crazy, difficult situation. I'm rooting for this guy. I want him to succeed, but it's hard because week to week, he's going to have mistakes. Like Ramon, you mentioned it. He's a rookie at a left tackle. Like, there's going to be some bad games.
It is. They're going to attack him every single week they can. Heck, and for year 2 starters, they do the exact same thing too. By year 3, Will brought that up earlier, asking about Money Rice and third rounders. You know, like, how long are you supposed to last? And imagine him being a 6th rounder. Like, by year 3 is where you start to get established and see that talent comes out. But good on him. And one thing that we used to do too when we were losing, we'd also put the rookies in the locker room also.
He's like hidden over there in the locker too, so no one sees him.
They got to be something. We got to be represented. Young fella, go take these interviews, okay? We're there through you. But one thing, and I wrote it down, you asked him about the run game, Kayla.
Yeah.
And he brought up the fact the offensive linemen love that. Run game confidence is what he said. The run game gives you confidence when you're blocking well and seeing a running back get positive yards where you feel, okay, I'm doing my job. Like, that's what the run game does. You can actually dictate more if you're able to move bodies off the line of scrimmage. And his technique's been good. Him and Peter's both. Peter Skoronski, technique has been good. And that's all you're asking from a young fella when it comes down to what the progression is. Yes, would I love him to be Trent Williams? Abso-freaking-lutely. Sign me up for that. I love to see him be that. But here's the thing about Trent. I saw an interview with Trent Williams the other day, and he was speaking about when he saw who was it? He saw a defensive end in a game, and he was just like, "This is my welcome to the NFL moment." He said it was the entire game. DeMarcus Ware said he absolutely worked him, and it was. And what I took from that is, no matter who you are, when you're a young guy, young offensive lineman in this league, it's one faction of the game that always gets you, and that's pass protecting. That's why when you have moments of bragging on him and Peter Skoronski in the run game, you feel okay with that because the pass protection is growth. It's understanding of angles. It's understanding how people are going to attack me. It sounded like he lit up a little bit when he's speaking about the running game. Now, if you ask him about his pass pro, it's probably going to be a different conversation. Mm-hmm. I admire that about him by understanding the run game is where I'm going to, win. So I must win there. And the passing game will come from that. The incorporation of him and Peter Skoronski working beside each other is something that's going to be very unique. Now, it's one thing that's true of this. There's at least one of them that will be on that left side going into next year. Knocking on wood, because I hope ain't nothing crazy happening this year. But one of them, and that's Peter. How Jalen Duncan positions himself moving forward, how his level of play and confidence he has with his coaches, and also his ability to get better in the pass pro as a left tackle with a right arm throwing quarterback, meaning the blind side, is something that has to be developed. And there's no better stretch of games than with more divisional teams, with Jacksonville and Houston coming in, and Will Anderson being down there in Houston, just one of those guys, and also what Josh Allen, the rusher, can provide. This is one of the biggest auditions that he's going to have. Now, at minimum, he'll be a rotation guy. The hope is if you can get a starter out of him, because if given the opportunity and the Titans are picking in the top 10, I think for the most part, unless you have Brock Bowers, unless you have, Marvin Harrison Jr., I get it. You're probably going to take a high caliber left tackle.
Sure.
So that's just where I think this group is.
With Jalen Duncan, it seemed to me from listening to Mike Vrabel speak about him earlier this week that the good plays were better, but the bad plays also still might have been worse for him in that second game and in that start against Indianapolis. Is that a fair assessment?
That's a fair assessment. You need to see that step in improvement. There's no other way to do it, Will, than trial by fire. And that sucks because it's fans depending on you to win games for them. But Vrabel's high on him, and you can tell. Watching his interaction and how he speaks about him. And here's the other thing, too. I think Vrabel's going to be harder on him publicly than probably other players in this situation because there's such a demand for that spot right now.
Well, and it's the first lineman it feels like they've developed in a while, right?
Sure.
I mean, they're trying to develop Aaron Brewer into a legitimate NFL center. I don't think that's been a success.
Yeah.
They've
and they
developed.
didn't draft him, right? I mean,
No, he was undrafted
Yeah.
out of Texas State.
Yep.
And they've developed Dylan Radins into a guy who can at least be on the field and be something for them, right? But when you're drafted as a second-round pick, just getting on the field doesn't mean that you were developed into that. You need to be, as a second-round pick, on the field within 2 years as a starter. Maybe not as a rookie, but on the offensive line, by year 2, you need to be a starter. And he wasn't. I think with Jalen Duncan, I almost wonder if they're grooming him to be their right tackle next year.
I could see that happen. Again, reps is what matters, right?
Because I don't think they're going to put a 6th-round pick out there as their day one starter at left tackle, regardless of how good he is the rest of the season. I don't see a scenario where that happens. And we mentioned it last week. A lot of the issues he's going to have are not just because he's a 6th-round pick. It's just because he's a rookie tackle. Andrew Thomas is one of the best left tackles in the league right now for the New York Giants. He was wretched as a rookie.
Yes, he was. I have a question for you, too. It's great discussion, by the way. Are we making that assumption about Jalen Duncan without the inclusion of NPF, too? Or are you planning to move NPF over? Because if that's the case,
a good question.
we got a great problem.
I think NPF is a swing tackle next year.
We got a great problem.
I just don't – he hasn't been consistent enough.
but he hasn't really been here this year.
Well,
field
that's his
on the
own
field.
fault for the suspension.
Right. But I feel like he's still going to be competing for a starting spot.
Competing, sure, but I mean, he wasn't good enough when he played.
Well, no. I mean, he was barely on the field.
Another player auditioning for a spot next year, I imagine he has a roster spot in the starting lineup, is Traylon Burks, who spoke with reporters yesterday talking about the pressure to stay on the field in his return from injury.
I wouldn't say that I've put pressure on myself just because it's been things that I couldn't prevent happening. But I have been, making sure that I've been on my skill set, on my playbook and everything. So it's my time.
Do you have a level of just general frustration right now? Obviously, last year is what it was, and I know you felt so confident going into the year. The way your first 2 years have played out to this point.
No frustration at all. Like I said, it's just things that happen, that I can't prevent.
Is there anything you do to stop that frustration from creeping in?
Just be me.
How do you feel like your chemistry is building with Will now that you're kind of back out there?
I would say it's been building, really good. Other than me getting hurt and not being out there with him, but I would just say it's still there. He knows what I can do. I know what he'll do, and just be open. What he needs.
Oof.
Frustrated.
That's frustrated vocal from him.
Yeah.
You could feel it. You could see it on his face because that's about the only guy that had depth in terms of the media in the locker room. It was like 4 deep.
Yeah.
So to get in your questions, hurry up because you're not going to get it in. But yeah, he seemed frustrated, guys, and rightfully so. He just hasn't been on the field. And Mike Vrabel said he expect him to get obviously more snaps this week, but I don't know. It's a tough thing right now for him to just have not had any consistency to build off of.
Yeah, and that's what, like you heard it, he's short-witted, and I know Traylon's he's very charismatic. He's an open guy. Hearing questions about his career, you could hear the frustration in his voice, and fair or unfair, it's just his pathway right now. It's football injuries, but the same way we look at NPF situation, almost anybody else, you have to stay on the field. You only get better by getting live reps. I don't care how good you look in practice. Like, we've seen practice heroes. We've also seen dudes in practice be trash. And then they go out and they're gamers, right? That's where he is. It ain't a decision-making time on Traylon. I think we're a little bit far from that. What is this, year 2? Yeah, year two for him. But there is a point in his career where he's got to start making some stretches. He's got to start making some plays, and we've yet to see any of that. He's had 100-yard game, or no? He hasn't had a 100-yard rep yet. He has.
Yeah.
Okay. More.
Yeah.
And it ain't because you replace AJ. More because you're a first-rounder.
Gotta be healthy, man.
More because you're a first-rounder.
Yep.
Traylon Burks at Green Bay last year had the 100-yard game in the last road win the Titans had
Then he got
on
knocked
November
out.
17th.
Cannot get over that.
What's the expectation for him the rest of this year?
Stay healthy. Will, honestly, I'm not even trying to be like stay healthy so that he can build something. And that, because otherwise, if he gets hurt again, you're back to square one. I mean, he won't play the rest of the season. I just hope he can stay healthy and build on reps and games and just have at least maybe 2 big catches or have a red zone touchdown. I don't know. Just basic things to build upon.
Be effective. When the ball comes your way,
right?
Be effective. No more slips, no more falls, no more drops. Be effective. If it's 3rd and 6 and you got an 8-yard route, give me that first down.
What was our expectation again for him in the offseason? 900 yards?
Yeah, it was.
He's got to show that he can be a consistent deep threat within this offense. That's my expectation for him. I need a lot more from a first-round pick.
I think we were saying like about 800, 900 between him and
we were.
I think I remember saying 800.
I said 9, I think.
There were discussions where it was between him and DeAndre Hopkins, 2,000 yards.
Yes, it was. And Chig was 700.
Yep.
Let's bring that up.
It was around that point right there. Heck, well, I think you even might have said, well, about 650, 700, somewhere in there. I was over the top, of course, with my assumptions, so more times than not.
Let's go to Roger McCreary for the final Q&K this morning as well. Another guy who is continuing to carve out a role for himself in the Titans secondary and has a difficult job covering Tyreek Hill on Monday.
You know, these guys, they love throwing the ball downfield, so we have to come with a great game plan to stop that from top to down to just pursue to the ball and have vision. That's one of our main goals now. We're going to work on it now and see how it goes. That's all I know for now.
What have you seen improvement-wise from like Tua and just in terms of kind of his accuracy and not having to run as much maybe?
Yeah, I feel like, from this year to last year, he had to protect himself a little bit more. So I feel like he knows where he's throwing the ball exactly. He can out his hand quickly. And I feel like they have a lot of formations and they have a lot of guys who are fast. They can make him get the ball out quickly. So that's one thing I would say he improved on from last year.
They've been so good in the red zone. I think 75% tops in the league. What's worked for them? How do you kind of keep them down in that red zone?
I mean, I feel like this team, you can't really stop it. You just have to slow them down, like you say. I say they just got a lot of stuff going on. They just have a lot of motions. A lot of guys who move from this way to that way. They all speed. They're all fast. So they just be moving. So really, it's just all about the eyes. It's just knowing the game plan they're going to use in this red zone. We haven't went over it yet, but that'll be one main thing because they is number 1 offense in the red zone, and we know we have to focus on that.
Oof.
So there is Roger McCreary yesterday. I think there is a chance, guys, that Roger McCreary and Amani Hooker are probably the only players starting in this secondary right now who are starting there this time next year.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I would say that.
I can say there's a strong sense that that's going to be the case.
Christian won't be back, I don't think.
Christian won't be back. I don't expect Sean Murphy-Bunting to be back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect Elijah Molden to be a starter.
Right.
This time next year. Roger McCreary has a chance to carve out a spot as the nickel corner for years to come. And I think right now in that secondary, he is the only guy I get really excited about. And not really excited even. He's been fine. But he's the most consistent thing the Titans have in that secondary right now. So certainly a guy that I think they rely on Monday and they rely on moving forward as well. Coming up next, the Jags rely on their employees to not steal money from them. Urban Meyer stole a lot of money from them, but not as much as one employee that stole $22 million from the London Jaguars. Details on that coming up next. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone and all of our friends in the industry. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. You're just going to talk over my Drake joke?
I did.
The ones that he gets, it says.
You would have gotten that.
You talked over.
I said it's RKW and all of our friends in the industry.
Oh, I thought this was actually the one with him and J. Cole. First person shooter. That's what that was.
This one?
No, I'll have it for you next.
Okay.
Yeah, this is no friends of the industry.
Yeah, no friends in the industry. Okay.
My brothers ain't my brothers. You people ain't dissing me. It's a fact.
You people.
Yeah, you people.
You people.
You people.
Urban Meyer stole a lot of money from the Jacksonville Jaguars, but at least he didn't spend $22 million over a 4-year period. A former Jaguars financial employee is accused of stealing more than $22 million from the franchise over a 4-year period by manipulating its virtual credit card program, according to documents filed this week in U.S. District Court. The Athletic first reported the charges, which were filed in the Jacksonville Division of the Middle District of Florida on Tuesday. Maybe this was the person in charge of setting up the tarps when there were no fans in Jacksonville, and with less tarps, they didn't have anything to do, so they just stole $22 million.
Got bored.
Scamming, boy. Credit card scamming. That's just blatant fraud. That's federal fraud right there, man.
So $22.2 million, and using some of that money for purchases that include a condominium in Ponte Verde Beach. I don't know how to say these beach names. That's a little above my pay grade. A Tesla is what this person bought. Crypto, which tough. I guess they don't have as much of the $22 million anymore. Chartering private jets, luxury hotel stays, a country club membership, and luxury wristwatches.
Crypto's actually up right now.
It is.
So how did they get caught?
That's a good question.
So if I was going to do this, how would I do it the right way?
He wants to learn something from
Like,
this.
I wouldn't take 22. I might just take one, maybe a half of one, and I'll be good.
22 is a ton of money.
Yeah, he got greedy.
$22 million. And I think that's a $90,000 watch. I wonder which watch it was, and can I get it off of him when he's
For the
done?
cheap.
For the cheap.
Yeah, where is this seizure auction going to
Yeah,
be?
exactly.
Can I bid on his condominium and or Tesla?
This is Amit Patel.
Amit Patel.
Wire fraud and illegal monetary transaction.
And here's the crazy part behind it. Like, he going to go to jail, but not like for a long time, too. So you got to ask him. I'd love to know, like, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Like, we've seen people steal like hundreds of millions of dollars in like white collar crime and do like 2 years at a very cushy stop. You know, like, hey, bro, 22. Like, where do you still got the condo? What else did you take? Like,
So
those
22. Can you do something for me?
Please, can you do something for me?
So he was the sole overseer of the franchise's VCC program and used that to fund all of these purchases and cover up his theft.
That's some wild stuff, man. Like, understanding to steal that amount of money and do it for that long, too. And on top of that, all tax free. Like, they probably not even mad about the money stolen. It's the fact that he
taxes.
He stole. I'm like, he ain't pay no taxes on it.
He said, Jaguars, if I'm watching you play football, I'm leaving with something.
I'm leaving.
I'm from around the way.
With something,
I'm
man.
leaving with something.
Like, golly, it's just the oversight of companies. And Bert, how do they do it? Probably an audit. Like, that's the only way you do it for a guy with that type of power and to swipe the way he wanted to. Like, you got to be a real strong-minded criminal to go buy a condo with company money.
Yeah, no one man should have all that power.
Not a Drake song, but I'll still.
I know.
I had a 5th grade teacher once who was married to the fire marshal in North Carolina, where I was from, and she embezzled close to $1 million worth of funds from this fire department. But she spent all of it on iTunes gift cards.
I'm sorry. No. That's
The
a
firehouse
joke.
needed some tunes, man. Miss Grubb, she used to have me on my hands and knees, and she would eat popcorn by the handful, and she would be like, "Oh, I dropped some down there." She was a larger woman, so she would be like, "Go get some tape and pick up that popcorn." You shouldn't have had me picking up that popcorn. Now I'm flaming you a whole state away, Miss Grubb. I think she's still doing time. She's probably not listening.
Dang, Miss Grub.
She was a larger woman. Sounds like she grubbed, too.
she was grubbing.
She's on Grubhub.
I hate it for her husband. Her husband had no clue, man. At least that's what he said.
For real?
He had no clue. She's like coming in the house bopping
He was the
all
one
this
picking
new
the music.
Yeah, and she comes in the house listening to new music. He's like, "What is that, honey?" "Oh, you don't know nothing about this. Miss grew up on something different."
It sounds like Matilda's mom and dad.
Yeah, right.
It does.
iTunes, $1 million of
That's
iTunes
incredible.
gift cards.
And popcorn.
You would just buy all of the music. Like that's it. You just bought
Right?
iTunes.
You never hear about live.
Like if you want to
to
own part of iTunes, just buy stock in Apple.
She
And
wasn't bright.
I hope it was gourmet popcorn, Bert, like the ones we get during Christmas.
It's like Orville Redenbacher.
Well, I mean, it's not bad.
Store
but-
brand, the off-brand butter popcorn is the best kind of popcorn.
How big girl
Changed
gonna
my
put
mind.
little portly Bert on the floor to pick up popcorn,
Hey, Lil
man?
Bert was skinny back then.
You
Lil Bert had it
was?
going on, man.
Well,
I could do a little bit of this. Play
He
a little
wasn't
soccer.
Bert yet. He was just Bert.
I was just Bert.
I was a poor
Robbie
nigga.
back then.
I thought she was a
Robbie.
thick kid like me, man.
I didn't get fat till I started eating like this. Eating good in the neighborhood. Call me Applebee's.
Oh, no free shout out.
Coming up, NFL headlines, Titans adding a linebacker, much more at halftime of the show. On the other side, it's RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast.
It's Ramon and Kayla for our friends at Window Nation. Kayla, winter's here, okay?
Yes.
Air is getting colder. I'm going to walk outside the air in a minute, okay? But your energy bills have been at all-time highs. Now is the time to replace those windows with 0% for 5 years and 50% off all style windows, too. So now's the time to protect your family from all of the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home while you at it.
Yeah, it is. It's getting cold. The temp's going down, and that means you want to keep the heat inside. Because if you're going to your window and you're feeling some draft when you wake up in the morning, that probably means you need new windows from Window Nation, and they are the place to get them. You can save up to 30% on those energy bills. Plus, everybody installing them, they've got up to 16 years of experience, over 20,000 windows installed, and you can believe us. You can go online, look at the over 10,000 online positive reviews. So don't wait until it gets really cold here in Nashville. You usually get about a month of that really cold weather. Give yourself a holiday gift, give your home a holiday gift, and invest in new windows now from Window Nation. It's 866-90Nation, or to find out more, simply log online to windownation.com.
What's going on? 8 o'clock on the dot. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Thursday night football tonight with the Steelers and Patriots. Kickoff at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or you can listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. Patriots already ruled out a couple offensive players, running back Ramondre Stevenson, wide receivers Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, and offensive lineman Riley Reif. For the Steelers, Najee Harris has been dealing with a knee issue that's kept him out of practice all week this week. He is questionable for the game tonight. Some Pro Bowl voting leaders were announced yesterday as a former Blue Raider. Reed Blankenship is leading the votes for NFC safeties, while only the Titans have one player leading in their category, and that is punter Ryan Stonehouse. The Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is second overall in fan voting. To the NFC North, where the Vikings are sticking with Josh Dobbs heading into this week's matchup against the Raiders. Dobbs struggled against the Bears before the bye, but keeps his job with a chance to go out and get a much-needed win for the Vikings. The Vikings also get Justin Jefferson back this week, playing in his first game since October 8th. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the second half is here already on a Thursday morning edition of RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast, and you can join us at 615-737-1045, streaming, watching online on 1045 The Zone TV. Just go to The Zone's Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter or X account, whatever we're calling it now, or hit the subscribe button on Twitch while you're there. You can watch Joe Hunk's baby Titans back. They got a big win over the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football last night. How about that?
Is that a good omen for the Titans?
Unbelievable. Probably not, but he got one. 615-737-1045, and I'm going to attend bragging camp because I already got the Immaculate Grid. 9 for 9 in baseball 3 minutes after it came out.
Did you really?
Very fitting.
It's hard being this smart, but I make it look good. I make it look good.
Man. Channeling the winter meetings here taking place.
That's right.
I saw somebody at the game with the shirt on, by the way. They had Immaculate above it with the 9 squares on
nice.
it. Yeah, somebody had it on this past weekend.
I'm a large.
Here out there.
Yeah,
I'll take a large.
Started to take a picture of it, but people love the Immaculate Grid right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a size large. Ramon, also, you always forget that I'm tall.
I do.
Kayla, Ramon looks at me before we do our stand-up the other day for Proco and Upperman and goes, you are kind of tall.
Breaking news.
How long have you known me?
I know, man.
That's always the one thing I get from listeners when they meet us is like, you're like tall. Like, yeah. It's one of my good qualities.
It's weird.
There's not many to count. You gotta hold on to the ones that I have.
It's just weird seeing people you are a former athlete or
Thank you.
Still an athlete.
Thank you.
And day-to-day life
Barely.
where you're just like, man, you're tall. Like most people, a lot of the dudes you're around are like 5'8", 5'10". A tall dude,
short kings,
non-athlete is like 6'1". So yeah, seeing you be taller than 6'1", and that's no diss. Heck, it just is what it is.
Thank you.
You should imagine, or you should see the people in TV. Like, that's where you get it a lot because you see them every day and you see them standing. And a lot of people assume for some reason either they're way taller than they are or they're way shorter than they are. Most of the people in TV are short.
Yeah.
I will say that. So when you get out in public and they're like, oh, wow, you're so tall. I'm like, yeah, no crap.
Yeah. It's like that often.
Everyone, I've worked with many people that have to stand on a box.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the same height as me. But then when there's not a box, I just have to squat down. There have been 2 different times on the SEC network that I have had to bend down while I'm talking. And it looks like I'm just the same height as the guy next to me. No, just basically in a wall sit.
When I was doing TV in North Carolina, we had a weatherman that had to stand on a green box.
Wow.
He was so short. For his green screen weather updates, it would always look like he was massive, but he was really just standing on a green box.
There you go.
That's a trick right there.
615-737-1045, our number. Titans had a linebacker yesterday in Otis Reese, undrafted player out of Ole Miss who has played 2 games for them already this season. That is your roster move in coordination with Monty Rice's exit. Interesting yesterday, I know Teron Davenport put this out on Twitter. Sounds like Christian Fulton will be out for a little bit. Again.
Hamstring. Strikes again.
Got him again, man. I saw him grab it towards the end of the game on that last play, and I was just like, oh, this is – my first thought was, no Miami. No Miami, man, and he's going to be needed. He would be needed for sure. Tough for him, man. He's got to find a way to take care of those soft tissue injuries. Like, you say what you want to about that. That doesn't always happen. You know, It shouldn't always happen. We've seen guys come through with lesser talent in these situations, and they go 16, 17 games. Like, this is multiple times this year, and Christian's a tough guy. I saw him in the Saints game have the similar issue, and he tried to fight back to come back into the game. But, again, losing amplifies a lot of stuff. We're going to look at Christian's situation and be like, man, dang, or it'll be questionable. I don't question his injury, but it's just like it sucks because you're losing this year, you know, and, of course, he's a free agent after this year. I can't ever say a guy copped out or say, man, he's just trying to stay healthy for the offseason, because your tape matters no matter what. And, of course, the conversation of injuries, availability, and stuff like that will always arise. It just sucks for him this season going into free agency that he's had this amount of issues with his hamstring, and also considering the preface this offseason with Vrabel, pinpointing him as a guy that has to stay healthy, has to stay available. And he switched up a lot of his training this offseason and still be snake bitten. I don't know if it's hydration. I don't know if it's food. I don't know if it's salt consumption or whatever it is, or it might just be his genetic makeup. But his ability to stay on the field has to be something that is at the front of his career moving forward. It's the top of his agenda moving forward. And I think he'll get a nice deal, whether it be here or somewhere else. So I'm not saying Christian did this or that. I just hate it for guys going through this where it's always the conversation surrounding them.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a limb. I'll go out and say he might have played his last game in a Titans jersey this year. And I only say that because there's 5 games left. If you're dealing with a hamstring injury and you're worried about your future, you are your moneymaker. I don't think he's coming back here, just for the fact that I just don't think it's worked. And maybe you go try it somewhere else. And I just don't know if the Titans are going to bring him back if they're moving forward with how they're building, especially they've got to rebuild that secondary. So we might have seen him for the last time.
I agree.
It sucks that his career didn't work out here, because he was a second-round pick and he has a lot of talent. But we've seen guys go have success other places, so maybe that happens. But I think fans should be disappointed that it didn't work here with him, because I think he did have and still does have the tools to be a top corner.
Yeah, what is his ceiling in this league, Christian Fulton's?
His, to me, solid starter. A guy that's is probably gonna be your number 2 corner more than anything. You look over and the A guy is having a really good game, and you find out, they're picking on Christian, but Christian can handle his own.
It would not surprise me if the Titans went after a number 1 corner with their number 1 pick. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Me either. If there's a position you're going to pay for, if that guy's available, for sure. Yeah, I pay for a corner.
One of the biggest reasons they were in an AFC championship game was because Adoree Jackson was playing like a number 1 corner in that 2019 postseason. Adoree Jackson was amazing in that run. Another guy that couldn't stay on the field, and he has at least had more injury issues in New York. I think as a Giant as well. It's not like David Long, who has gone down in Miami and been just the picture of health since he left here. Or A.J. Brown, who's been the picture of health in Philly.
Yeah.
I think A.J.'s on a team that he understands that, look, playing with injuries is going to be a part of it. That's because we've seen A.J. go down a few times. But I say all the time, winning will make you do stupid, crazy things to be out there. And I know A.J., too, understands the pressure that the check brings to him also. The performance. The reason he and Jalen Hurts get into arguments is because he wants to be the show and get the ball often, right? So AJ gets that. Winning makes people run through walls for you. Not to say that he didn't have the opportunity here, because he did, and you saw some of the best of AJ in his short tenure here. But winning changes a lot. I guarantee if we're talking about the squad, y'all, within a year or two, and they flip this thing over, the injuries can go down.
Sure.
Why? Because people want to be out there. The fear of you losing your spot because you know your team has a winning identity makes you go out there in less than healthy situations. Look around the league for the people that are injured on the teams that are winning. They find them ways themselves back out there way faster than you have guys, going to have surgery in the middle of the season, or a situation to where, hey, if it's 1 week, I'm probably going to take 2.
Interesting on Twitter, at C. Williams NFL, Christian Williams writing last night that Marvin Harrison Jr. and Travion Henderson have allegedly been offered NIL deals that rival first-round draft pick money to keep them at Ohio State for the 2024 season. I do not believe you.
No, and I just don't think I'd do that anyway if I were trying to make it to the next level.
I do not believe you. Will Anderson, Brad Spielberger, our friend from Pro Football Focus, put this out and said, Will Anderson Jr. signed a 4-year, $35 million deal with a $22.6 million signing bonus as the number 3 pick, which is where Marvin Harrison Jr. in many mock drafts is slotted right now. I don't think there is a team that is giving you the equivalent of $22 million signing bonus in college football. Give me a break with that.
You know why else that's dumb? Well, another reason why that's dumb? Classes. Classes. Well, like to alleviate the pressure of going to class every single day is one of the biggest benefits on being a
priceless.
Pro.
Yeah, that's right.
Priceless. Hey, professor, you gonna dock me from missing class? Guess what?
I'm making $25 million.
Exactly. Like
making more than the dean is in 25 years
of the
whole college.
How much pressure leaves you, Will, in that first year? Oh, my God. I ain't got to go to class? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, classes is why that's a dumb offer.
We'll ask Joshua Perry about that of NBC Sports, who's going to join us in an hour, about whether or not he believes that's happening. I mean, if the conversation is a good quarterback is $1 million, there's no way you're paying Marvin Harrison Jr. $20 million. There's a 0% chance that he really got offered that. Give me a break.
You mess up the entire dynamic of the team if you do that.
615-737-1045. We take a look at previewing the NFL weekend when we come back. A little bit of Thursday 3. We're going to make you some money. We're going to tell you about the biggest games going on in the NFL this upcoming weekend. No college to pick from. Makes our jobs a little bit more difficult on this week's standings. We'll preview the football weekend with the best bets and the best games going on in the National Football League coming up next. Rolling right along on a Thursday morning edition of RKW brewed by 8th and Roast. Got the Concepcion Buena Vista blend going this morning of 8th and Roast coffee. You can pick up your favorite retail bag at your local Kroger or Whole Foods here in Middle Tennessee. Probably a peppermint bark latte in my future today. That's what I'm feeling.
Got to get it in you, Will.
One of my favorites.
It's a great song right here, Bert.
This is Easy Money by Billy Joel off his Innocent Man album.
There you go. Well, coming up in 20 minutes, we will get to a now time that has been set for a massive Tennessee recruiting target who has scheduled his commitment today. Early enrollee, number 1 offensive tackle in the country. We now know when he will be committing today, and it is not in that long. So we'll get to that coming up in 20 minutes.
If you don't mind, I hadn't seen it. When did he say?
I said we're going to get to it in 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It's a tease, Ramon Foster.
Gotta start listening.
That's right.
I do.
Also, one player that will not be visiting Tennessee who is originally scheduled to. We'll get to that and some Vols recruiting headlines coming up here at 8:45. But it's time to make you some money and preview the football weekend. It is our Thursday 3. We had a great week collectively. Let's give ourselves a hand for last weekend.
Golf
Not
clap,
you,
golf
Ramon.
clap. Yes, I do.
If you are unfamiliar with what the Thursday 3 is, we have been betting games against the spreads and against the totals every week since, I think, preseason football. Like, we were doing preseason games and college football games, and we have bet on 39 games, and we have 3 of us that are broken away from the other. So the spin zone is it's all up from here for Ramon Foster, who was 1-2 this past week and is 13-26 this season, which honestly is not as bad as that sounds. I promise you.
Say it with some extra bass.
500 is considered good. So
You're the Jeff Fisher of betting.
Oh, don't
stay consistent.
Do that to Jeff.
He's more fun than Jeff Fisher, though.
Thank you.
Oh, Jeff Fisher's pretty fun.
I'm
not giving
talking
Ramon
about
that
the
much credit.
field play.
Thank you, Kayla. No, why you
I will
hating
stand
on
for
me?
no. I will stand
Why
for
you
no
hating
Jeff
on me?
Fisher slander.
Jeff's got better facial hair, though.
That's true.
That's mine
I
is
like Jeff Fisher.
nicely
He's a cool
trimmed.
dude.
So I got better facial hair today.
Did you trim it up?
My barber did.
Oh, shout out to your barber,
Shout out to Dion.
Dion.
Must be nice. How's bragging camp?
Yeah, this is a simple American deal, okay, Will?
That's
There's barbershops all across this world, all right? Don't make my
There
barber
are.
more special than yours,
Oh,
okay?
goodness.
If you want to compare things, okay? Nice hoodie you got on, Will.
Thanks. This was free.
You know what? It's not that nice.
I didn't spend anything on this.
By the way,
This used to be a double XL Tennessee
geez.
track and field hoodie, and it's shrunk so much in the dryer that it's perfect size for me.
Sweatshirts always do. You're not. That wasn't Dion Lewis who's your barber. He didn't get out of business to be a barber. Okay, just
Heck no.
wanted to
No, not him.
clarify.
No, not at all.
Well, Dion is not really available very much because he's not really good at running or catching. He is good at blocking out his schedule. So he's not
Yes.
really available much because all he does is block.
There you go. For Ramon.
What are we doing here? Huh?
I don't know.
But
When Dion Lewis was on the field on third downs, all he ever did was block.
Oh,
So I said
I
he
didn't know
blocks
that
off his
history.
schedule as a barber. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that history right there.
it's fine. The first rule of comedy is to be funny, and it wasn't that funny. So I'll move on.
You said it, not me this time.
Okay. Robert is 25-14
goodness.
betting this year. Bert is making some big time cash.
Look at you, Bert.
I'm almost the inverse of Ramon.
Robert
Oh,
went
yeah.
3-0 last week. Kayla was 2-1, 23-14-1. Game and a half back of Robert.
There we go. Not bad.
Actually, or are you just a half game back? Wait, do I have that right?
23, 14, and
I haven't done my
1.
math right, I don't think. 23-14-1.
Yes.
Let's just make it a flat 2. Give me a 2-game lead.
Where else?
Watch it
bug me.
back there.
Yeah.
Don't get greedy.
I am 19-20. I was 3-0 last week. Ramon was 1-2. He is, as we said, 13-26. So again, that's the Thursday 3. We preview the football weekend and we give you some bets to make in the process. We still don't know what the prize is for who wins. I think we should spend more of our energy on the punishment for who loses, but that's a separate conversation. Robert Walsh has first pick this week as we preview the NFL weekend.
This was and you talked about it with no college. It is tough to come in here and pick these spreads.
Certainly is.
I went with the game that I felt most confident about off the rip. I've got the Lions and Bears in Chicago. Both teams are pretty healthy. So healthy, in fact, that Hendon Hooker is practicing fully for the Lions. So it's not so much about who's going to be in and who's going to be out this game for me as much as it is I think the Lions just come in and handle business. The NFC at the top is so close for everyone. There's a very small margin for error. I feel like Dan Campbell's going to have this team ready to go. The spread is currently at 3.5, which is very obtainable for the Lions, who just went toe-to-toe with the Saints last week, won 33-28. I think the Bears are a worse team than the Saints are. Despite them being at home, I think the Lions cover that, and I'm going to take the Lions for 3.5.
I closely considered that one.
Yep.
I did too.
And
Good
I
pick.
did do that one. So now that I'm second,
I'm just
going to
copy Kayla's bets. All of Kayla's
Yeah.
bets, and so I just stay one game ahead.
Technically, I'm copying you, Bert, but I liked it for the fact, too, Bert, and you said, if you look at this Lions team, too, they play some really close games, right? But when they played Chicago a little bit earlier in the season at Detroit, they really almost lost that game. It was Chicago who kind of gave it away. I don't see that happening again. I think the Lions want to kind of prove a point at this part of their schedule and this juncture of their schedule against a rival. So that's why I liked it, taking the Lions at -3.5.
That's fair. I would have taken the Lions too.
What do you make of the Chicago team? 4-8. Justin Fields has not been bad when he's been healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams and draft a quarterback that you feel like can be a transcendent talent, you take the opportunity, right?
You definitely take the opportunity. You ask me what I feel about them, I feel like they're scheming. Like this entire offseason, this entire season, there's, okay, yeah, we won. Good job, guys. We're trying to get the number 1 and 2 overall pick again. Like, that's where they are. I feel like they're scheming. Justin, if there's questions already being asked about him, that means he's probably already out. And they can probably still get some trade value. There are some teams right now that'll take Justin Fields.
For sure.
Washington probably being one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Go throw to Terry McLaurin, his former Ohio State teammate.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And his mess ups might actually be the system. There's a lot of stuff. And there's also a new GM.
Well, and the head coach, too.
And that's one of my Chicago friends. I've got a ton. I don't know why I have so many friends that are Chicago fans, but they said specifically they don't even know if it's Justin Fields. They feel like it's more the coaching that is preventing Fields from maybe being successful overall. So they were even saying if they traded back maybe a little so they could get more picks and potentially keep Justin if they can get a new head coach. It's a mess, though.
Yeah, I think Matt Eberflus is going to need to go.
Yeah.
Ryan Poles, I think, deserves the opportunity to use the draft capital that he has acquired. But at the same time, I don't know. I think Matt Eberflus is not the guy. Not the guy in Chicago. All right, so I'm going to go to Pittsburgh tonight. Steelers -6 against the New England Patriots. Primetime Renegade hits different. Mike Tomlin simply does not lose primetime games. Patriots will not be able to score. Essentially, if the Steelers can get to 10 points, I feel good about this bet. So Steelers -6 tonight, and I would set the over of 2.5 quarterbacks, or the total at 2.5 quarterbacks who play for the Patriots tonight. You might see Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, and Malik Cunningham.
Good, for real.
Malik Cunningham, who has, by the way, taken snaps at receiver and quarterback this season. He was active last week and did not play. So I wonder if Bill Belichick has something up his sleeve with Malik Cunningham, or if he's just content to be as boring as possible, because not only have the Patriots been bad, they have been boring in their losses as well. And that is a tough place to live in this league when you are bad and boring. So Steelers -6 for me.
There we go. First game for me, man, it's a little bit of a snoozer, but very interesting because we all have a shared interest, and that's Vikings-Raiders. Dobbs continues to be their starter. Had a bad showing the last time he was their starter up in Minnesota. Was it 3 or 4 picks that he had?
Yeah.
Terrible. But I'm actually not even picking right here. I'm going the over in this game. The over under is 40.5. Both teams coming off a bye. I do think the just shine that the Raiders had is probably gone. I can see Minnesota scoring this week. They do have a good offensive mind when it comes down to the play calling. I actually have the over this game considering both teams coming off a bye. I see less defense and the ability of these two teams to get it going.
That is one game specifically where you start the scoreboard watch in the pursuit of a top 5 draft pick, and you want to cheer for every AFC team in those games if you're a Titans fan from here on out.
That's so true. Yeah.
You want to cheer for your own team, in my opinion, still, because I always think it's stupid to cheer against your own team. But that doesn't keep you from cheering for AFC teams.
Yep.
All right. Round 1 done. Round 2, Robert.
Now I'm going to the Texans and Jets. That is in New York or New Jersey, rather, wherever the hell they play their games
Meadowlands.
at. The Meadowlands. C.J. Stroud without his favorite weapon this year. Tank Dell got added to injured reserve after taking a hit last week. He's going to be out the rest of the season. But the coming on of Noah Brown, another wide receiver. Robert Woods, who was limited this week, probably plays. Nico Collins. There's still guys there.
Right.
There's still stuff they can make happen. And the resurgence of Devin Singletary, who has looked like the much better running back in the face of pressure of Dameon Pierce, who missed a couple weeks. He came back, had a touchdown last week, but that's neither here nor there. I'm taking the Texans to cover the 3.5. I just don't think the Jets have any juice left. It's like you break up with a girl and then, I'm going to take a new girl to the dance, but then she also breaks up with you and you're like, will you go back to the dance with me? I'm so sorry, baby. Zach Wilson wants the ball. I don't care if he wants the ball, the baseball bat, the bowling ball. It doesn't matter what kind of ball this guy's got. He's not going to be able to ball. I think the Texans wipe the floor with them because they're on the outside looking into the playoffs right now.
Yeah,
everyone at the bottom of the wild card in the AFC is stuck in an elevator. The Colts, the Texans, the Steelers, the Browns, they're all fighting for those last 3 spots. If the Texans can get right this week, they will at least have a winning chance of making the playoffs. You got to beat the Jets to do that. I'm going to take the Texans to cover.
And then they play the Titans in the Oilers jerseys.
When we were at Toy Field, I saw them painting the Titans field with the old Derek.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Let's hope that's a game because you don't want to get embarrassed in those Oilers throwbacks. I liked that one. I was going to go with that one, but I'm going to go ahead and travel over to L.A., where the Chargers don't have much charge this season. Like, I just think Justin Herbert is wasting away there. They're so inconsistent. The Broncos are visiting. The Broncos, honestly, have been on a bit of a roll until last week when they ran into the Texans. They were at the Texans and obviously fell to them, but they still have something to play for, guys. Prior to that, they had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. And this is a team that we were laughing about. And I will be the first to say I am still not a Russell Wilson lover.
Let's ride.
Exactly. But he's riding a bit more now. And I feel like Sean Payton's got his team believing. I think this is a game where they bounce back on the road at the Chargers. Give me the plus, what do I got this
2.5.
at? 2.5.
Broncos plus 2.5 at LA. That'll be a pro Broncos crowd too.
It will.
Yeah, that's a big enough fan base that you're going to have a lot of Denver people in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I can see that being the case. That's a straight flight for them too.
Is there any quarterback we make more excuses for than Justin Herbert?
No.
Yeah, it is.
Who?
Josh Allen.
True.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has done something significant though in the league. Like he's won playoff games.
I agree with both of you. I agree that we do make a lot of excuses for Josh Allen, but there is more of a reason to make excuses for Josh Allen. I see where you're coming from.
Because Justin Herbert hasn't won anything significant, and we always say things like, oh, if only he had weapons or a head coach. He's Keenan Allen. He's Josh Palmer, Mike Williams. I mean, I know Mike Williams can't stay healthy, but
the play calling is so weird there.
It is weird.
Watch in the Chargers games, they'll be in 3rd and short, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they'll throw like a zig to someone off the side. Just run the ball. It's 3rd and 1, man.
Thinking they're too smart. That's what it is.
The Colts kept doing that over the weekend and putting the ball in Gardner Minshew's hands on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3.
You got to have some pride for your O-line. Come on, man.
I know you didn't say that because I worked this show. I know you said that
No,
because you
I'm
meant
with
it.
you, man.
I know
I'm
you said
with
it
you.
'cause
That
you meant
stuff
it.
bothers me.
It does. Same.
I am going to also go Texans minus 3.5. I do not understand why that line is not bigger. I think that's a value number where you want to get that before it gets up to a touchdown for Houston. I think Houston, the the Jets have nothing. Nothing. I mean, there is no faith. That to me is where a home field advantage begins to almost become a disadvantage because those fans hate their team so much right now, as they should. Again, boring and bad. Texans -3.5 in New York.
If you want the qualifier quickly, why the line is that both of the Texans starting tackles did not practice this
there you
week.
go.
So Laramie Tunsil and
Right.
George Fant could both be out for the Texans.
I said bet the under, too. Ramon Foster, pick 2, please.
Pick 2 for me, Bills Chiefs. Sunday Night Football. Bills at Kansas City, too. Here's the thing with me. I'm taking the under in this game. The under.
Primetime under. I love it.
Primetime
Come
under.
on.
What's it at right now?
You see, I'm growing here, people.
Go pick.
I'm growing here, okay?
What's it at?
It's the over-under is 48.5.
Okay.
48.5. This Kansas City defense is a sleeper. They're solid. They're pretty solid when it comes down to the way they play. And I will say exactly why I was hoping you didn't steal my bet, Will. But Josh Allen, I don't trust. On the road with that crowd. That crowd compares, honestly, to Seattle. If we're being real.
It does.
And I think Josh Allen in prime time gets to the point to where he wants to show out and show off. Bills coming off a bye usually have a little bit of stench on you trying to get that off of you. Even though I went over in the Vikings-Raiders game, that's only 40 points. This one's 48.5, almost 50. I can see this Kansas City defense keeping them low, and turnovers by Josh Allen is where I'm at.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, a Sunday night game, though, a Sunday night game with the Chiefs is the worst version of Chris Collinsworth. Chris Collinsworth watching Patrick Mahomes is worse than Gary Danielson calling an Alabama game. And that's saying something.
Jeez.
Oh, God. Watch that one on mute. Put the Sopranos on the main
Put some
TV.
stank on it.
Robert Walsh, third pick quickly.
I'm going to break one of my rules today, guys.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I have been trying to garner the respect of Titans fans because, as you guys know, Ravens fan, it's being held against me in a lot of different alleys.
Sure.
I have not bet against the Titans this season. And I think I'm going to have to. The spread is massive, but there's also a massive difference of talent on the field where the Titans would not have Fulton, potentially. The Titans would not have Jeffrey Simmons, potentially. You have a revenge game on the other side with David Long Jr., who's playing incredible right now.
And Kendall Lamb.
And Kendall Lamb. I don't even know who the hell that is, but
Titan
it's
legend.
a revenge game. Austin Jackson just got paid. I think they're going to come in here. And again, the AFC is a crapshoot. You cannot afford to lose easy games like this at home.
Nope.
I think the Dolphins win, but I think they win very convincingly. I have the line at 13.
Yeah.
13.5 is what it's at.
They're really going to draw the.
Are you going to do it?
That's where
Take
the
it up
line in
to
the
2
sand
touchdowns.
is.
Yep.
I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I'm taking it.
Stick with your
Sorry,
guns,
Titans
Robert.
fans, but I just don't see a scenario where it doesn't happen.
Kayla, third pick.
Bert, you can probably dig deeper into this. We don't have time for it, but I am going to Baltimore for my next pick because the Los Angeles Rams, who have won 3 straight, don't get me wrong, they have put together something. That hasn't been necessarily against the crazy best opponents, though. That trip over to the East Coast it's a long one, guys, and it never works out easy for West Coast teams. Baltimore coming off the bye week as well. I just feel like this is setting up for a situation where they take care of business heavily. It's -7 right now in favor of the Ravens.
7.5 now.
7.5. I'll still take it.
There you go.
Very quickly, the weather this weekend is supposed to be horrendous in Baltimore. It's supposed to rain 1.3 inches, supposed to be 20-mile-an-hour winds, so I'm glad you didn't take the over.
Yeah.
But I do see the Ravens. It's going to be a slugfest over there.
Yeah.
Bengals +1.5 at home against the Colts is my third pick. I'm more of a believer in Jake Browning than I am Gardner Minshew right now.
That's fair.
Wow.
Jake Browning, stud.
Okay. I'm picking WSU quarterback over him.
Oh, yeah.
Gardner Minshew, baby.
Ramon?
Last one. Primetime. Eagles and the Cowboys. I'm taking Dallas. -3.5 in this game. Number one scoring offense. Give me Dallas all the way. 49ers hangover for the Eagles. And I'd probably also bet the over. Dallas has the number one scoring offense in the NFL, too. I got Dallas, and they're playing in Dallas this week.
There you go.
I hate how much I love Ramon's picks this week.
And those are the
Good
picks.
stuff.
That's the Thursday 3. Coming up next, Tennessee's top targets on the high school recruiting board has set the time of his commitment. You find out with Ramon Foster when that's going to be coming up next.
Got
Hey,
some good news here this morning. The future of joint pain relief is here, and it is QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. Amazing stuff, guys. Hey, it's Kayla Anderson. If you've been told steroids, surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. Maybe you're feeling that in your hips. Now that it's getting the winter months, you start to feel it maybe in your back or your knees. Guess what? You don't have to live life feeling that pain anymore. No drugs, no downtime. Best of all, no surgery. Life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back. So for a free consultation, you can call them now. It is simple. Pick up the phone at 615-249-4024. That's QC Kinetics at 615-4024.
When you listen to RKW, it's big as a Super Bowl. On 104.5 The Zone, brewed by 8th and Rose.
Big as the what?
Big as a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. We are in a just a little Drake mindset this morning, apparently.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll tell you a story from The Athletic who talked with more than 20 Panthers coaches, players, and other league sources. And it tells a cautionary tale for one thing that Titans fans are clamoring for from their own organization. We'll get into that coming up in the, quote, Hunger Games culture at Bank of America Stadium and what that specifically means. 615-737-1045 is our number. According to 247 Sports and their commitment timer, Tennessee left tackle target Jordan Seaton is scheduled to commit at 11 a.m. Central this morning.
That's right after we get done. What we got
Sure
going
is.
on, man? That's actually pretty early. What is that? 9 o'clock West Coast?
That's right.
9 o'clock West Coast.
The chatter continues to favor Tennessee, but as Brent Hubbs told us last Friday, this thing will go down to the wire all the way to the last minute. So we will see. And it appears to be an Ohio State and Tennessee battle, potentially. But
I wonder in this day and age with the incorporation of money now with the NIL and name, image, and likeness, it ain't just money, right? It's exposure, coaching, development. A lot kind of goes into it. You had all the old school stuff that you had. Is the coach going to develop? Is the staff going to be like? My biggest question I had in my recruitment was, is the coaching staff going to be there?
Yep.
That was my main concern. If I commit to you because it wasn't the idea that you can transfer and portal out so fast and not have to sit, is the coaching staff going to be there? So if we answer all those things, I think Hype's going to be there. I think Coach Ellerby is going to be there unless he's trying to go be a head coach or coordinator somewhere, which most offensive line coaches don't live in that world. What's the determining factor between Ohio State and Tennessee or Bama or
Oregon,
Oregon
Florida in there
too. One of my former teammates, the primary recruiter on at Florida,
Really?
Darnell Stapleton.
Yeah, yes.
D-State. I actually ended up taking his spot at right guard.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he had injuries and stuff like that too.
So you're
Undrafted
friendly.
guy.
Best friends.
Yeah, we're real cool.
Yeah.
D-State was a very solid dude, man. Injuries. Got a ring, though. But I wonder what's the determining factor for 5 stars like this.
Go ahead.
I was just saying real quick. I mean, for me, Ramon, like if I were a player, and I know that was more different times back when you were playing.
Yeah.
But I look at Ohio State staff, and I look at some of the guys that are leaving. They just lost one of the running backs, too. I think there is a little more instability there just because I don't know what Ryan's day, solid future is. Like, you don't know what's going to happen there as much as I feel like you do in Tennessee. I think things are a little more stable. They don't even know who their quarterback's going to be next year.
Yeah, they're going to go into the portal for a QB, that's for sure. I bet they wish they had Quinn Ewers back.
Bet they do, too.
Letterman Rowe, the On3 affiliate of Ohio State, wrote early this morning that they are taking the field against Ohio State and wrote in their final thoughts, not a single soul minus Seaton knows where he's announcing today, but they are going to take the field against Ohio State. Ohio State did get the last visit. And if you're wondering why we're spending so much time on one 18-year-old's decision, this has been the missing piece for Tennessee and the biggest piece that they need in order to compete with Alabama and Georgia year in and year out. It's getting a 5-star to pick you as their first choice, not their second choice, because we can go down the list on a lot of very good players who reportedly Tennessee was their second choice. This is not horseshoes or hand grenades. Close doesn't count in recruiting. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, when you get a left tackle of this caliber, it makes your quarterback a lot better, makes your wide receivers a lot better. Your entire offense gets better at what I would say, Ramon, is maybe the second most important position on your entire offense. Left tackle behind quarterback.
Gordon Andy Stable, the most important one.
It is, for Josh Heupel, it's easier for him to recruit to a QB as a former QB. Hey, look, you and me in this together. You're going to have a close relationship with me. You're going to have the head coach's eyes on you at all times. And Josh Heupel has a track record of developing elite quarterbacks at a couple of different stops who have made it into the NFL. it is harder for him to then recruit to a left tackle. But it sounds like Jordan Seaton's relationship with Glenn Ellerbe is so strong that it looks like Tennessee is the team to beat going into this. Now, he could pick any of 5 schools, and I think a lot of people wouldn't be shocked. And the reason why is a lot of times recruits like this will tell reporters, hey, this is where I'm going. This is kind of the buzz, and you'll see reporters kind of slowly leak that out without taking their shine to say, hey, I think X, Y, or Z, you should feel pretty good about your chances. But reportedly, Seaton has not told a soul.
Jeez.
Not even the teams where he could be committing, where he's going. So this could be anything.
Importance of bigs is this. Iowa had Caden Proctor, number 1 overall tackle last year, locked down. Bama took him. Bama was having an edgy, sketchy season at protection, and this kid is a 5-star. He actually corrected all his woes the games he played against us. That was a determining factor. One of the biggest determining factors for us losing the Alabama game was he gave up nothing. It's because eventually that 5-star talent does come out if it's coached right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why getting 5-star tackles mean a lot in today's college football.
Coming up next, we'll dive into this Athletic article about the Hunger Games culture in the Carolina Panthers, the cautionary tale that it tells the Tennessee Titans, plus some breaking news in the college football world as Duke makes their hire. Another Power 5 head coaching position filled. We'll tell you who is taking that job coming up next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling, and you know in Middle Tennessee that the only thing predictable about the weather is that it's unpredictable. Look, there are times in a week where we get all 4 seasons in just about 7 days. You got to make sure that your home is ready. And you can make sure your home is ready for the next storm or heat wave with the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan. Sign up today, and for $12 a month, just $12 a month, easy, right? Their expert technicians will come out 4 times a year to take care of your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. That's right, AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical by one professional team. And in order to learn more about this, all you got to do is go to their website, and it's great, leecompany.com. Or you can give them a call at 615-567-1000. $12 a month, and Lee Company's expert technicians, they're going to be there 4 times a year taking care of your AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. 615-567-1000. That's leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
Good morning, 9 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Thursday Night Football tonight. Steelers and Patriots kickoff is at 7:15 on Amazon Prime, or listen right here on 104.5 The Zone. Patriots have already ruled out a bevy of offensive players. Running back Ramondre Stevenson, wide receivers Demario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte, and offensive lineman Riley Reif. Najee Harris, he's been dealing with a knee injury that's kept him off the practice field all week this week. He is currently listed as questionable. Pro Bowl vote leaders were announced yesterday as a former Blue Raider Reed Blankenship is leading the NFC safeties, while the only Titans player leading their category is punter Ryan Stonehouse. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is second overall in fan voting. And the Vikings are sticking with quarterback Josh Dobbs heading into this week's matchup against the Raiders. Dobbs struggled against the Bears before the bye, but keeps his job with a chance to go out and get a much-needed win for the Vikings. They also get Justin Jefferson back this week, who will be playing his first game since October 8th. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth quarter of the show, the fourth and final hour here already on RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Caffeinated and opinionated for 60 more minutes on your Friday junior morning. Hope it's a good one, and hope you're stopping by 8th and Roast or by your local Kroger and Whole Foods. Grab your favorite retail bag there as well. 8th and Roast Coffee, cultivating community by the cup. And our community includes Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass. I'm Will Bowling. Manny Diaz will be the next head coach at Duke, according to reports over the last 10 minutes. Penn State defensive coordinator grabs a head coaching gig.
Yeah, at Miami before that, right? And went to Penn State, did a good job with that defense. I think it's a pretty good hire considering the fact you lost a really good head coach, and this is a hard place to play football.
It is.
When you're surrounded by the basketball scene.
That's tough right there. Well, I'll say this. What I was thinking is tough is watching Duke have a continuation of finding a name coach with higher standards than they've had in years past. And, of course, I think about the team here in Nashville. I'm just thinking, like, how did they get it correct? And Duke's not a big university as far as numbers either. So it's very fascinating. Great for them for a quick hire that fast. Of course, they got a great foundation already laid down. Duke will mess around and really start competing in the ACC on the football side. That's what's going to be interesting if that conference stays alive.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start having a higher conversation where that conference staying alive may be a thing.
Yeah, so the coaching carousel continues. James Madison hiring Bob Chesney as its next head coach.
Does he know Kenny?
Is that the Holy Cross coach?
Look at you.
It is the Holy Cross coach.
There we go.
Robert Walsh, ball knower, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
What's a Kenny Chesney song?
No shoes, no shirt, no
There you
problem.
go. Wow.
Look at the brain on those.
That
Come
does it for me.
on.
I appreciate y'all hanging
And
with
the
me,
show's
man.
over, folks.
I've got friends in low places, man. I'm telling you.
That's
That's
Garth Brooks.
I know that's Garth. I'm 2 for 2. That's it for me, y'all. Peace. It's been fun, man. 104.5 Design. I'd like to thank y'all, Paul, Allison, man, for bringing me on. Charlie, man, I love you guys, man. Savage, we did it. Will, Kayla, love you dudes, man. Bert, man, the best one to do it this year. Jonathan Shaper, you been cool, man. Love you guys, man. This is it. Country 101 with your boy. Holla at me.
And coming up after the break, we'll give Entertainer of the Year. Stick around as you watch the CMA Awards.
Incredible. This is a good what is it? Acceptance speech? Yeah.
I did everything but thank God there, man. That's usually the first one that comes up. I know, I'm tripping.
Where Gabi at?
I was excited. I was truly surprised that I won.
Congratulations, Ramon Foster, who has correctly identified a country music song.
I hope Kenny was listening.
we might get him on the show.
Right?
That's all I'm saying. I know Savage is really trying to get Stapleton on their show. Maybe he's listening. Maybe he's listening.
Call in, Kenny.
He's got a lot of teams to represent. So. Pride of Gibbs High School. Coreyton, Tennessee. Interesting article in The Athletic about the Carolina Panthers. And, man, David Tepper, I think, is even a worse owner than I originally thought. Genuinely. When you look at the stories of what's going on in Carolina. So, one of the common complaints from Titans fans is Mike Vrabel needs to go outside his umbrella of friends. Go outside the network to hire new coaches. Well, this is the other end of that extreme. This is hiring too many coaches outside of your network, as this Athletic article with 20 different sources from inside the Panthers building, on the staff, in the locker room, and around the league says that David Tepper encouraged Frank Reich to go outside of his circle with some of his hires. And many of the offensive coaches had never worked together, bringing different philosophies to an offense that would be led by a rookie quarterback in week one. Besides disagreements in schemes, the athletic staff writing that there were personality conflicts and factions formed on a staff that included two holdovers from Matt Rule's staff and a staff that was micromanaged by their owner and disagreed on things even as simple as Bryce Young's footwork, where David Tepper was telling his coaching staff, hey, you need to fix his footwork. That's our problem, is Bryce Young's footwork isn't right. David Tepper is micromanaging a staff that had never worked together, all had different ideas, all had different philosophies, and crashed and burned as fast as a coach has been fired in about 30 years of NFL football.
With Tepper being their owner, this team has gone 7-9, 5-11, 5-11, 5-12, 7-10, and right now they're 1-11. Over 6 years of him being at the top of that, the grand total as it stands right now is 30-64. The best thing about that is he's the team owner, and nobody can move him around out of his seat. The worst thing about that is he's the team owner. From Matt Rule leaving with a bag. I'm talking about a bag. We weren't talking about McDonald's bags that they say the Vols got. No, this dude got a Target-sized bag.
It was a Gucci bag of cash.
Right?
Gucci bag of money. Yes, he did. And it seemed like Frank Reich is doing the exact same thing. On all assessments of Frank Reich, it seemed like he's got a high top billing as being a smart mind, a good coach. I think he got hosed out of Indy, wherever it was, up there because of bad ownership there. He got a thing for bad owners.
Right.
But Frank Reich's not a bad coach. It looks like he's in a bad system that has a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes down to who's going to do what and what's the expectation when this Carolina team is nowhere near being competitive. I thought they were doing the right thing by, the left tackle they drafted last year, Ike
Ekwonu from NC State. Yeah.
Not even him. And I think you thought, if we sell the house and get Bryce Young, it's going to fix us. No. You're a bad ran organization. You've had multiple lawsuits inside your own state. Like, as it stands right now, for all that we know and what's been reported upon allegedly, they're just not ran well.
And it starts from the top. That's where everything starts from in terms of culture, making sure everybody's on the same page. It's not always perfect, and you go through difficult times, but it just feels like Tepper's involvement has not been beneficial. And in my eyes, like, that's a sign to step back and actually allow, when you get a head coach in there, to put together his staff the way he needs to. And yes, sometimes you do need to look outside the box. We've said it a lot of times here on this show with Mike Vrabel, and he did go add different people to his staff this last year that were not his circle. But this seems like it is going downhill fast. And I'm sure if you were Christian McCaffrey, you were thanking your lucky stars that you got out of there when you did, because it has crashed, and it has crashed hard. And to me, guys, this is going to take a minute to get things settled here. I feel bad for Bryce Young because he's surrounded with an awful culture right now and no weapons.
It doesn't have a lot to work with. And mentioned this is the NFL's shortest head coaching stint since 1978. Frank Reich went 40-33-1 in 5 seasons in Indianapolis. And according to this piece, which you can check out on theathletic.com, Frank Reich used the phrase diversity of thought when describing his staff a lot this season. But was trying to incorporate ideas into his system, shotgun sets, horizontal stretch passing game that was not the same as what he was doing successfully, by the way, mind you, in Indy. One staffer saying just not a good offense. You didn't see Indy's offense when they were second in the league in rushing in 2021. You didn't see Philly when he was there or when he was with the Chargers in those dynamic offenses. You didn't see any of that. Panthers, under their new GM, 13-33 since he arrived in 2021. Gosh. That winning percentage tied with the Bears for the worst mark since 2021.
That's terrible, man. And it's like
Scott Fitterer.
Kayla said, it doesn't seem like it's going to get better anytime sooner. Like that was they came into when they were a new franchise, they came into the league hot. They found Cam and stayed hot. And even after Cam a little bit, they still had some good years. Christian McCaffrey being a part of it. Like Luke Kuechly, they've had some dudes come through that place. I mean, Steve Smith, they have no remnants of that right now.
Greg Olsen, too.
Greg Olsen.
That's right.
Was it true or was that a social media post? I should have dove more into it. Him talking about he would be the head coach?
I don't think he said it specifically, but when a job like that opens and you have the precedent of Jeff Saturday taking over in Indy last year, somebody's agent was doing their job.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And floating out Greg Olsen's name, who, by the way, still, there needs to be a resolution with Tom Brady in that whole thing.
Oh, my goodness. That's right. Next year, right?
Yeah. Because next year, Tom Brady is scheduled to take over at Fox.
He sure in the heck is. And take over is what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I wonder what viewership's going to be like in that first week for him.
Huge. I'm watching.
Yeah.
Well, I watch anyway, but.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're making it a point to watch him or hear him.
Coming up next, Joshua Perry will join us. NBC Sports broadcaster will ask him if the committee got it right with the top 4 teams of the college football playoff, who he thinks is the best out of the 4 teams left in college football, and the ripple effects of this decision on the ACC and the rest of the sport. Joshua Perry joins us coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill, calling all sports fans. 104.5 The Zone is bringing you the ultimate hockey experience this Friday from 4 to 6. Wow, hear me out. Buck Rising hangs out at Scoreboard Cedar Creek. Hold on to your hats. We've got more than just great sports talk lined up in that time. You can enjoy some 2-for-1s, try to beat Brent and Slade's picks to win the $250 prize pack. And that's not all. Imagine this. You and 3 of your friends at a VIP Preds party win 4 third-row seats and enjoy a pregame cocktail hour at the legendary Doc Holidays. So sign up at Scoreboard Cedar Creek this Friday from 4 to 6 with Buck Rising. Then you can be the envy of every Preds fan. You must be 21 years or older to play also. Blackout dates and scheduling details always apply. So mark your calendars and secure your shot at an unforgettable night of Nashville Preds action. You got to register this Friday between 4 and 6. But Saturday, start with their Build Your Own Bloody Mary bar and catch your favorite sports in action on over 60 TVs. And indulge in the flavors of the season at Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Introducing their new seasonal drinks crafted to perfection. Whether you crave a spice, delight, still, or a sweet winter kiss, their new drinks are sure to elevate your spirits. All this and more starting this Friday and going on all weekend at Scoreboard Cedar Creek.
Talking college football in hour 4 of RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. You see him on Bally Sports, on NBC Sports, and you can hear him right now on RKW. He is our good friend Joshua Perry, giving us a couple of minutes with a lot to discuss in the college football world. Joshua, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We are great, and we'll start simply. Joshua, did the committee get it right in the college football playoff with the best 4 teams?
I would say so, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. Florida State fans and players and coaches are rightfully upset because they did everything they believed they needed to do. They did everything that had been done in the past and always got a spot in the college football playoff. I think the injury to Jordan Travis certainly makes a difference, and the committee is allowed to consider those types of injuries. I would also frame it like this, though, is what we learned through the course of the season is Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama all beat what I would call playoff caliber teams. Those are teams that were undefeated or one loss going into championship weekend. We had never seen a 2-loss team ever make the college football playoff, so that was kind of the cutoff for me. Right, and so we saw Michigan beat Ohio State, who was a 1-loss team. Washington beat Oregon twice. They were a 1-loss team going into the last weekend of the season. We saw Texas beat Alabama early in the year, and then Alabama beat Georgia. The thing that we did not see was Florida State beat a team that I would consider a playoff caliber team during the season. It's not their fault. But LSU, which is probably their best win, was a 3-loss team. They had Louisville, which was a 2-loss team going into conference championship weekend. One of their losses was to a terrible Pitt team, and y'all know Kentucky got way too much credit this year for doing the bare minimum. Wasn't really that good of a ball club. And so I could understand from like a football standpoint where you would say, like, yeah, we know Alabama lost, we know Texas lost, but we also saw that they could prove they could beat the types of teams that are in the CFP. That's a question we would be asking about Florida State is have they beaten a team like that and could they do it? And ultimately, I think it makes a decision for me.
Joshua Perry, NBC Sports, our guest this morning on RKW. Joshua, how does this Michigan team, in your opinion, stack up with Alabama?
I think that they stack up well in some places. I think that they're going to be challenged in others. One thing that I saw late in the year for Michigan, they struggled with dynamic edge rushers, right? And I'm looking more at Penn State than anything else. And one thing I do know about Alabama is they got dudes on the edges of the line of scrimmage defensively that can really get after that offensive line. And so I think for a lot of people who thought maybe this was another one of those Michigan offensive lines that was the best in the nation, certainly it's good, but it's not as good as the last 2 years were. I know Alabama's going to have some answers for that. The one thing I do like about Michigan, though, in terms of where they stack up is their defense. Their secondary, I think, is really good, and I think that they can cause problems. And as long as you can force Jalen Milroe to put the ball in a bad spot by changing up looks in the back end, I think they have a shot. But ultimately, one thing that scares me, and I know both of these teams have played the underdog, and I know both of these coaches are, it seems like masters of motivation this year, giving Nick Saban a month to game plan, but also letting him be able to play the underdog at any point during that month, them having the 4 seed, them being a point spread underdog when this line opened up, I just feel like it's not a spot that you want to have to deal with if you're Michigan. Like, you don't want to have to deal with Nick Saban, the underdog, and I think that might be a big edge in this football game.
Joshua Perry of Rally on Bally and NBC Sports joining us on RKW. Joshua, in the other semifinal game, and you and I had conversations, a few years ago about Texas and when are they back? They never seem to be back. Steve Sarkisian obviously has this team rolling, going to face his former team in Washington. I think this is going to be an outstanding matchup. How do you see this playing out when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I think it's a really good matchup, too. I think both of these teams can score points. I also think both of the defenses are better than folks want to give credit for, and particularly Washington a little bit more toward the end of the year as they started to get healthier. They had dealt with some injuries that I don't think people were really keyed into. So they're like, oh, man, Washington can't play defense. It's like all of a sudden they got their guys back, and they're in the Pac-12 championship game against an Oregon team that wanted to run the football, an Oregon team that wanted to be physical, and Washington took it to them both offensively but specifically on defense when people said they couldn't. That's what I'm looking forward to. In Texas, this is the moment. It's an interesting thing for me as we start to look at this, right? Because I think Washington, for all the great things that they've done this year and potentially being able to win a championship, I don't think the stakes are nearly as high as they are for teams like Texas and Michigan in this college football playoff. Like Texas, we've been asking, are they back? And Steve Sarkisian coming off of last year, folks were like, it's going to be a make or break year for him in terms of his legacy, and now he's right there at the doorstep for Michigan. It's been a build over the last few years. Now you see 3 times in a row beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten, but they have not led a singular second in a college football playoff game, and this is Jim Harbaugh's best team. Like the storylines just from the stakes to me and the coaches and everything else are amazing, but to get back to the semifinal there between Washington and Texas, I'm expecting fireworks in that one.
I'm going to get you in your feels here. What is going on with Ryan Day and not being able to beat Michigan? And is his job at some point on the line? They've had some key guys leave and enter the transfer portal. What's going on up there in Columbus?
Yeah, well, first off, I think if Ryan Day loses next year to Michigan in a home game where Michigan's got 44 seniors this year, so certainly it'll be a different team. I think he's done. And I hope it doesn't get to that point because I do think he's a wonderful ball coach. I think he's a wonderful person too.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the one, right? Like it's never good enough to be 11-1, and the one is Michigan, right? It's never good enough to make it to the college football playoff like they did a year ago, but you lost to Michigan in the process of doing it. And so I think for him this year, it was a guy who I think lost the psychological battle of the game. Ryan was tight. Right, like Sharon Moore as an interim coach, like it felt like he said, I have nothing to lose here because I'm the interim guy. It is what it is. And Ryan Day is like, damn, I could be looking at my 3rd one in a row, and I definitely can't let this happen. And so he coached it tight. He played for a field goal at the end of the half when he could have gotten it closer, could have tried to score a touchdown. He was on his own 46-yard line, punt the ball away. Like these are not things that I anticipate a Ryan Day coach team would do. And it ends up being the margin in a game when you lose it by 6 points, right? And so I start to look at that, and then you talked about the portal. Like Kyle McCord, God bless him, did a wonderful job in his first year as starter. It also was not a job like what C.J. Stroud or Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins had done just from a talent standpoint. I think that bothered some people. I think that he was also maybe listening to some of the criticisms on the radio and the message boards, and I know that there might have been some family decision-making involved in this situation, but ultimately for me, I think that you have to be a guy who leans into the difficulty of being the quarterback in Columbus, and for Kyle, I think it might be that his career ends up finishing on a better note elsewhere, and so I hope the best for him. Julian Fleming's another guy who opted in the portal, his former 5-star. Dude, was most inconsistent guy catching the football. They had given him a lot of chances, and I think he wanted to be a guy who could just go somewhere else for his last year too. So you're dealing with a lot of that as well, and I think it's difficult. Ultimately, they'll be fine. I think they'll get it sorted out, bring some guys in through the portal, got a nice recruiting class as it is right now. But it does seem like there's a lot going on in Columbus that would make people a little bit trepidatious right now.
When you look at, I know you asked earlier about the college football playoffs, Josh. I have to ask you this. Did they also ruin college sports, too, with the decision to pull Florida State out of it? I fully agree with the decision to have the 4 that's in it. But when you've done everything right, you play in a Power 5 conference, and you still get hosed. I feel like how can you legitimately explain that when injuries, which is a part of football, happens to you at the wrong time? Like, was that a knock on actually considering this amateur sports?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with the idea that they've done some sort of long-term damage. Like, the committee, the thing that I think we learned in this process of the 4-team playoff that's getting ready to evolve into a 12-team is they're very inconsistent, and they can kind of cherry-pick which things they want to use, which metrics and data points to pick which teams they want to put in. I think that's frustrated a lot of people. I also think that folks have relied on this fallacy for entirely too long, that all Power 5 conferences are created equal, and that's just not the case. And if we were all talking about this in the middle of the year, one of the conversations we'd be having is about how the ACC is down and how outside of Florida State, Clemson is not the Clemson that we're used to seeing. Miami is absolutely not back. And Duke was one of the teams that we were talking about being able to win that conference early on. This is not basketball. This is football. I think we can all agree on that. we can also agree that not all wins are created equally. And I think people are like, oh, they won these games. And it's hard to tell people that, but they're just not. And quite frankly, we're going to the 12-team format. Florida State's not complaining next year because they're in. Maybe they're complaining about seeding and they should be a 4 seed instead of a 5 seed so they could get a bye. And I could understand that argument being an undefeated team. But honestly, at the end of the day, like, they would have a shot to go out there. And what we probably anticipate would happen to them, because they are a completely different ball team without Jordan Travis, would happen in a 12-team format, and then they'd be at home watching the rest of the teams play it out. It's unfortunate for those players. I'm fully there. But, like, I'm still going to watch the sport. I'm still going to participate in the sport. And I understand what we're up against. And it's an inconsistent committee that I also think got it right this year.
Also, in that same sense, the business side of college sports too is always important, because people build up their departments, athletic buildings, and just buildings around the university because of these paid games, getting $1.5 million because you're a lesser school. With as many players that have jumped into the portal, Tennessee's got some, you guys got some, heck, even Georgia and Alabama got some, right? Do you look at college football being the same way in the near future potentially as college basketball, to where you have a UNC Greenberg beat, Kentucky at Rupp Arena? Like, do you see these paid games becoming more difficult in football the same way you have in basketball?
I think yes and no, right? Like, I think in that the middle class of college football, I certainly think is being weakened by the transfer portal. And to your point, some of these kids, and it's the thing that I think is happening a little bit with some of the guys jumping in the portal at Ohio State, is they were trying to be patient. They waited 2, sometimes 3 years to see if they could get an opportunity. And they said, with these last couple of years of eligibility I got, I want to go somewhere where I can play. Like, damn trying to say I'm going to be a part of a championship team, and damn trying to say I'm going to the NFL, because unfortunately it doesn't seem like that's my path right now. But this is not a sport that I can play once my college career is over. This is not basketball, and it's not golf, and it's not tennis where I can just go and play in the rec league. These cats want to play ball. And so you see dudes go from Ohio State to Toledo, who was a really good school in the MAC this year, and maybe, you're looking at an Illinois early on in the year who played Toledo, and they're one play away from losing that football game to a MAC team. And I think you might see more and more of that. So it's a great question that you ask, and if you're an athletic department now, I think you got to ask the question, like, all right, how much are we paying for this game? And realistically, if we got a shot to lose this, should we take it off of our schedule to save ourselves the embarrassment of having to pay for an L?
Joshua Perry, NBC Sports, Bally Sports, our guest. Joshua, when you look at this year and the competitive balance at the top of college football, a common complaint of this sport is that year to year, there are maybe 3 or 4 teams, right, that have a legitimate chance of winning a national championship. Feels like that number may be up around 6 or 7 teams of programs that legitimately felt like they had national championship aspirations. Why do you think that competitive balance has grown this year? Is this something that is a product of NIL that's a more long-term positive about the sport, or is this just simply teams like Oregon and Washington having older, more veteran quarterbacks because of the COVID year?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, right? Like, I think that some teams have been able to maybe retain talent that they wouldn't have been able to retain, or even acquire talent that they would not have been able to acquire. It's kind of leveled the playing field for maybe some of the top-tier teams that haven't been able to operate like it the last few years. But, I mean, you look at Michigan, and I mentioned it earlier, 44 seniors, just a veteran team. That's probably why they're as good as they are, in combination with the coaching job that their staff has done this year. Washington is in a similar spot with some of the seniors that they have on that roster as well, plus a veteran quarterback who transferred in. It's the same thing with Oregon with the quarterback situation. That's why they were one of the competitors in the Pac-12. I look at Texas, and they were kind of able to use the portal too with Quinn Ewers when he was a younger guy. He was originally at Ohio State, came in there, and I think that's changed what their program looks like, no doubt. Alabama's Alabama, so we don't even have to talk about them. But it's the Ohio States of the world who have been competitive still. Georgia was a team who was really competitive this year. Like, you could really spill it out to probably 7, maybe 8 teams this year that had a legitimate argument for being a playoff caliber team. And I think it's all the things you said. I think it's the ability to get a veteran quarterback in there, the ability to fix holes on your roster through the portal, the ability to acquire and retain talent through NIL. And then ultimately, I think a lot of teams got back to old school development too. Like they just said, we're going to get our guys in the program and we are going to grind them and we're going to teach them how to be ball players, and that works as well.
I'm going to throw a hard question out here, and I know it's a little broad, but with how much has changed in college football, what program moving forward, because Nick Saban doesn't have a ton of years left, obviously George and Kirby Smart, what program has the most stability moving forward now that we are just seeing so much change in college football?
Boy, the most stability is a unique question. Oh, man. I feel like Georgia's always going to be in a solid spot. They're fertile recruiting ground. And, you know, does Kirby have any motivation to ever leave and go to a different job as long as he's having success? Like, would he ever want to go anywhere else?
Doesn't seem like it, but
would he ever want to coach in the NFL? Like, I don't think so. So I think they'll be in a good spot. Like, it's interesting. You talk about Saban leaving, and one of the names people throw out there to replace him is Sark, right? Like, would Sark circle back to Alabama and be the head coach there? And it's like, Doc, we're talking about leaving Texas to go to Alabama. That's crazy because they're both blue bloods. And so I think there's some of that. Like, there were rumors about what Ryan Day would do at Ohio State, and we've seen the success Michigan has had. But, you know, Jim Harbaugh, does he ever leave and go back to the NFL? It's rumored every year that he's going to do that. I feel like if you're, you know, Dan Lanning or Kalen DeBoer at Oregon and Washington, you like your jobs and you like how much you're getting paid, but I'm certain if somebody at you know, an Ohio State, a Michigan, a Georgia, an LSU, or Alabama called, one of those guys is leaving, right? And so maybe it's Kirby Smart. Maybe he's got the most solid situation.
For the idea of entertainment, man, do you see living in the portal the way Lane Kiffin does and the way Deion Sanders said he's going to this offseason really put them over the top? And I'll go primarily Colorado, watching what they're doing, going to the Big 12, and also Lane with them being stuck in Oxford. Do you see that actually benefiting either one of them?
No. I feel like it is a rough way to try to build a program. I think we saw really with Deion, he was able to get some top flight, really skilled guys, but the way you have to build your program in the trenches, and Ramon, you would know this, is you got to get dudes out of high school and you got to develop them for probably 2 or 3 years in reality. And then those guys are ready to play ball, and they've learned, how to play the position up front the way you want them to play it, and their body looks the way that you want it to look as a program. And that's what Deion didn't have, right? Like I'm curious, you know, when Shador is out of there, what is he going to do for a quarterback? And would somebody see that as a quarterback destination? Are you going to be able to recruit guys with coaching staff turnover the way that we've seen as well? And for Lane, like, I get what he's trying to do because you're trying to keep up with some of the most talented rosters in the country. But at some point, I feel like you got to have guys that grew up and came up through your program, understand your culture the way that you want it to be. And that's how you can have success. And I just don't see the plugging of holes consistently out of the portal as a way to do it.
Joshua Perry has been our guest. You can see him on NBC Sports, The Rally on Bally, hardest working man in showbiz, giving us a couple of minutes this morning. Joshua, great stuff as always. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's Joshua Perry with us this morning talking college football. And I think the question about Georgia and a most stable program is a good one. I think the answer's got to be Georgia.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's the number one job in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the talent you have right there.
And it doesn't
Talked
look like
about it
Kirby's
before.
going anywhere.
No.
Why
Right?
would he?
He's had the
Unless
same
it's NFL,
haircut.
right?
I know.
He's probably used the same bowl to cut his hair
Sure.
since he was a linebacker at Georgia. So why change
Truth.
now?
Isn't this kid right up the street from him too now?
Oh.
Committed to no, I'm tripping. That's the wrong coach. Wrong coach.
You thinking Muschamp?
I'm thinking Muschamp.
Oh, much. Okay.
Muschamp's son is the Vandy quarterback commit.
Yeah, I'm tripping. That's on me. That's a demerit.
Coming up
Another
next, a wild story in footballscoop.com. There is a Nebraska radio host that has the worst NIL suggestion I have ever seen. Ever.
Oh.
We'll talk about it coming up next. Ramp it up Thursday morning on RKW, brewed up by 8th and Roast. There are bad ideas, and then there's what one Lincoln, Nebraska radio host is suggesting for NIL for Nebraska around college football. 615-737-1045, the final call for phone calls. Bill Bush is a veteran former college coach, now on 93.7 The Ticket, who suggests make a play, get paid. And after a player makes a big play, put a Venmo QR code up on the Jumbotron for anyone in the stadium to pay him. This feels like something out of the Hunger Games. We've had a lot of Hunger Games talk today.
We have.
This feels like a dystopian, if you kill the other person in battle, we'll put a code up and you'll make money.
I disagree. I actually like
Yeah,
that.
I don't hate this at all.
I do not hate this at
This is awful.
all. What better time to get them hurt than when you're hot?
Hey, can you, I want to have a party after the game. I want to have some people over so I can buy the drinks. I'm going to run a slant over the middle.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll pay some money for that. But then also, what about the
Shot.
kids? What about the kids that don't get NIL? What about the kids that are making plays and then they need to make a little bit of money?
The special teamer?
If you got money and you already like the school, I mean, I would have been tipping Chris Johnson so much bread.
Bert, legitimate. Will, watch this. Who was the winning kicker last year for the Vols in Bama? What was his name again?
What are you?
No. What was his name again?
What?
Do you remember his name? Before I throw you, I ain't trying to put you on the spot. What's his name? Last year's kicker for.
Why
for
do
the
you?
Vols.
What? This is irrelevant.
No, it's not. It's leading right to where I'm gonna take you.
Because you want to give him money.
Totally. It's Chase McGrath.
Chase McGrath. If you put his Venmo Cash App up after that game, $1 per person at least.
Money.
A big time game like that one. Oh my God!
It's a slippery slope.
Put me up. O-line ran for
Slippery
250 yards this game. Big boys up front. Hit that Cash App.
You really think the offensive linemen are going to be getting paid by?
I'm going to demand it at that point. Hey, you put up this dude. He's a walk-on.
Crazy.
You can't put all 5 of us up. Hey, Scott. Have them put us up there. Here's my Venmo.
Shot.
100. I am all in on that.
Do you think it'd be making, though, like some guys do more? And
Hell
put,
yeah,
like,
Cater. Incentivize me on game day. I can leave that thing and know I got bar money afterwards. I know I got bar money afterwards. Whew, I'm checking my phone immediately once I get to the locker room.
And we got to find a way to if you get a pancake, throw it up there. Because I feel like the O-line is the one who's getting slept on in the NIL anyway.
Dude, forget an easy way to share ad revenue and TV revenue. Let's just put a Venmo QR code up for Johnny, who just had a 15-yard catch.
If that's the case, I'm mad at all the woo girls coming to town. It's my bachelorette party.
Yeah, I don't pay that. Don't pay them either.
And it's some dude, if they give. Can I do it?
Go ahead.
Can I do it?
Go for it.
People have never met these people on OnlyFans and they're giving money, okay?
My goodness.
That's all I'm telling you.
I didn't know you were going there.
What a lie.
Or you're not putting that QR code up either.
But if it's people, all right, sign me up. Take me back to college on that one. I'm talking about.
Would you come back and play?
Kayla.
If you had eligibility?
I'll put my Venmo code up here on this show. Do you understand me?
Yeah, but how much money are these kids really going to get? You know what I mean? Like, for you said, a 15-yard catch, like, I don't think they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to send this kid $150. Like, I mean, you might get a little bit of money. I don't think you're really going to get generational
How much
wealth.
you need,
What I want to know is, on a blown coverage, can I charge you?
Ooh.
If a DB blows
You can
it, if
request
you
it.
miss a tackle, hey, I'm going to have to Venmo request you $20 for pain and suffering.
I got the right to turn it down at that point. Yeah, 100%.
Make it a two-way thing?
I put my QR code. Matter of fact, who's doing this graphic?
Defensive holding to give
Put
up a
mine
first
up
down. Hey, man, I'm going to need 10 from you. I'm going to need an extra beer to get over that after the game.
How much extra money do you need as a college athlete? I think it's my shout out to my brother. I can say it now. Ron and Nardo they helped pay my rent my senior year when we had the baby and everything with RJ. Like an extra $500 a month. Like, we're not asking to break in the bank. Like, if a dude makes a special teams play, a big one for like inside the 10 on a punt, he gets an extra $75. That's a dub.
Yeah, Tyler in the F&M Bank chat says, Venmo request for blowing my parlay.
I mean, facts.
Give me my money back.
Man, that dude's a genius.
I would have had to pay a lot of people money because I was the last finisher in my last ever college race. I would have had to be handed out 10 to everybody there. All 20 people who watched me run on my last ever cross country meet.
Imagine,
at Tennessee.
Imagine y'all winning it. and they put you up inside the stadium. And there's
really?
alums. There's track alum in there. Well, what if the track alum at least just shoot y'all
like us.
$100? I mean,
they weren't very proud of us.
That's easy money
we
right
very
there.
Good
they weren't. That's easy money.
Oh my goodness.
They're good now.
Can I put a Cash App up on the screen?
No, you can. You can try.
Why not?
I'll do it. You never know.
It's like when we put our Twitters up, we all got tons of followers.
Come on now, Kayla.
Yeah, that was weird. That
was
happened
cool.
the one time, and then every time I've mentioned our Twitters after that, it's never happened again.
Well, we made it.
Like it was because Ramon had a brand new Twitter.
Right.
So
Let's just say
everyone's like,
he has
I
a
need
new
to go
one.
follow Ramon. And then like, these other two, I'll follow them too.
Is yours locked out again? You got to make a new one,
No,
right?
well, I said I was going to try the old one again. I think Bert crushed my dreams yesterday. He said, "Mom, that thing is gone."
Going back to your old ways.
Yeah. Might be.
How did Buck get into his and you couldn't get into yours?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because Lucas was logged into Buck's.
Logged
That's
Okay.
right.
His.
Look at that.
I answered my own question.
Yeah.
It's with Elon now, Moan. It's with Elon now.
It is with Elon now. He got robots driving cars and stuff.
It's still not X. I can't do it. I need to stop saying
It's
X.
Twitter.
Yeah.
It's Twitter.
Stopping
I
it.
think he's honestly trying to crash it.
Coming up tomorrow morning, we'll visit with Brent Hubbs after Tennessee's top target left on its high school board commits. I saw on Twitter that could even be in 5 minutes. I don't know if Jordan Seaton even knows when he's committing, but I'm sure that will be a big story developing throughout the day. Brent Hubbs will react to that with us tomorrow morning. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, as always on Friday mornings. And you. Appreciate Joshua Perry joining us. Appreciate Coach Mack early this morning. We are back at it for 4 more fast hours tomorrow at 6. And Ramon Foster is back at it with words of wisdom in your life right now.
You must remember, if you're in the stadium, you see a Venmo on top of a screen. Nah, I'm just playing. But at all times, though, no matter what, good plays, bad plays, remember your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.